welcome to episode 157 of Zapped to the Past. I'm Adrian Mills, joined as always by Mr. Graham Raddings. If you haven't listened before, then this is a podcast where we discuss games that were released for the Commodore 64. Last week, we looked at our first batch of games from issue 64 of Zap 64, which we had no way affiliated with, and were clacked by Clacks, snowballed by Ski or Die, and played our best Art Garfunkel in AMC Armed Marine Corps. This week, we conclude our look at games in August 1990, along with what was also lighting up our TV and cinema screens that month. Graham, the summer dwindles away. Is there any warmth in these games to entice us to their fireside?
As we approach the end of August 1990, we can take a moment to look over the last few games. And so in a month that also saw British pop reggae band UB40 deported from the Seychelles, we take a running jump away from Jellystone Park as the talking bear that has terrified visitors for years makes a run for it in Yogi's Great Escape, and then take a moment to admire another title screen sprite multiplexer before heading into the colour slab blocky world of another dreary journey upwards to shoot stuff in Sonic Boom. August in 1990 was a hot month in the UK. In fact, we had 98.8 Fahrenheit, that's 37.1 centigrade, in Cheltenham. That would have meant roads melting, people passing out, hosepipe bans, and people complaining it's too hot. That's just how we Brits roll. While we break out the ice pops, we also grab our tri-striped branded trainers and footballs so we can slowly trudge through 4 separate loads of dreary options before going for a crappy kickabout. In Adidas Championship Football, step into the clawed feet of a mini dragon as we pick up some grapes and avoid a falling egg in the silent Spectrum-themed walk and seek adventure Little Puff in Dragonland, before finally heading into the weird world of 80s multi-event game clones as we attempt to unravel the mystery of who, what and when another Waggle game was released with Daley Thompson's Supertest. The blazing heat of 1990 sees a lot of budget games making their way to the shelves. Some of them are worth the money, many are not. I think I would rather have got a strawberry mivvy and a panda pop drink, but that's just me. What is it you seek, barbarian?
It's not these games. I have Yogi and this and that. Away with you, witch.
In the fire you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm out of here. Don't want any of your soup. Leave me alone.
Daley Thompson Supertest. You seek. No,
the game you seek is... nobody wants that one. Goodness.
No, another
wow.
game.
Wow.
Yeah, so no, there's no games to tempt us to any firesides this week, I don't think. But yeah, August does move on. You know, there's only 4 months left.
Crazy August in 1990. Crazy things happened, but yeah, it's weird. A weird old month.
It is a weird old month. Should we just get into it? Should we just get into games? We've got 5 this week.
Yeah, let's dive in.
Let's just dive in.
An unruly bunch. Let's go.
Yeah, it's an interesting bunch this week. So let's get into our first one. And well, that first one, it's a budget title. It was the second highest scoring of the issue with 77%.
Goodness me.
And this is Yogi's Great Escape.
Oh.
It's going to take all my writing skills to turn this game into the big game this week. This is a
challenge. Go.
I don't know if I can do it, but I'll do my best. Because what we have, it's another Yogi game, and it's a budget one. So, it's the second Yogi game we've had, isn't it? Second one.
It is. Double Yogi.
Yeah, okay. Double Yogi.
Double Yogi. Don't really go.
No, done. This is Yogi's Great Escape. This comes from those folks at High Tech Software. For £2.99. Those folks. And it was developed by PAL Developments.
Those folks.
Yeah, produced by D. Palmer, coded by Al Dukes, and the musician was Julian Potts. You may remember Al Dukes and Julian Potts, because they did that rather enjoyable Bomb Fusion from last year.
I do remember that. Yeah, good music and that.
It was good music. It was a good little game, that was. It was flicky, wasn't it? Flicky-like. We never mentioned the time. Yeah. It was flicky-like. Flicky.
Like flicky.
Yeah, that was all right, it was. So the bands got back together and had a crack at the Yogi license for some reason. It always weirds me out when these budget games get these kind of things, but I think they did quite a few Hanna-Barbera ones coming up. Things like Top Cat. There's some coming up. I don't know. How do these licenses happen? I don't know.
I don't know, but I think they found them.
What's this down here? That's a Yogi license. Make a game. Come on, Al.
Make a game out of that. May as well.
May as well. Anyway, whatever the reason is, here we are. This time, Yogi, he's trying to escape from Jellystone Park, and there is a reason to this. There's a story for this. Another winter has passed. It's time for Yogi to wake and begin his annual hobby of relieving innocent campers of their picnic baskets. A few days into the season, though, Ranger Smith receives a disturbing telephone call informing him that Jellystone Park must close and all the animals are to be moved to the zoo.
Charming.
Brutal, isn't it? Yeah. Yogi hears the news, secretly decides that the only way to avoid being sent to the zoo is to escape from Jellystone Park. When Yogi goes missing, a tracker and his faithful old dog are brought in to help with the search. Crazy. Playing the part of Yogi Bear, you must progress through various scenarios, avoiding obstacles and hidden dangers. If, for any reason, Yogi slows down, Ranger Smith and the tracker are sure to capture him and take him to the zoo.
Chirpy.
Yeah. I know, it's a bit bleak, isn't it? It's like, oh.
It's real bleak.
But anyway, because I can understand why Yogi didn't want to get to sent to the zoo. He's like, used to the wide open spaces of Jellystone Park, sorry. Interesting. But he seems to have completely abandoned Boo Boo's nowhere to be seen. Hey, Boo Boo, away with you.
Yeah, it's good. We never liked him.
No. Anyway, there's no loading screen, but the title screen for this is grey. It's certainly grey, but it's okay. I mean, for a budget title, it's got an animated Yogi and Boo Boo. So Boo Boo's here. It's not in the rest. Nowhere else to be seen though. It's just on the title screen.
It is Yogi's great escape. He left Boo Boo behind.
Yeah, but why is he on the title screen then? And they walk on from the left, and they walk on and off, and they're basically pushing the credits on or pulling the credits on, which is quite nice. I quite like it. Sort of Pac-Man-esque cutscenes.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah, it is. It's nicely done. And it's always Boo Boo seems to be pushing the stuff as well. He's got quite an angry face on him, which that's quite nice. Yogi just doesn't seem to do much, as is the sort of norm in these kind of cartoons. The tune that plays is okay too. It's nothing to do with Yogi Bear, though.
I don't remember what the music was for Yogi Bear, actually, when I think about it.
I don't either, but I don't think it was this. It's got some nice voices. It's got a key change in again. There seems to be a lot of key changes in the
good old key change. Yogi demands it.
There's no options to speak of here. There is literally nothing. Suppressing the fire gets us going, and we're introduced to a rather basic 2D scrolling platformer. That's what this is. You control Yogi with left and right and fire to jump. That's it.
Basic.
It's really basic. The longer you hold fire, the higher and further you can jump, though. It does feel a little floaty at first, but you soon get used to it. It's all right. It's just basic controls, which, it's that Mario-style thing without the inertia, really. The game takes up most of the screen. At the bottom, we've got some UI, number of lives represented by a number of Yogi Bear faces, like just across the bottom. There's your score. There's the timer to complete the level. And there's a space for some reason. The platforms are fairly simple, and as you progress, there are various critters and obstacles to get past. These and the platform start off fairly simple, but with only 6 levels. They do start to ramp up in difficulty as you progress, not too long into it. And whilst this is not an overly difficult game, you will find yourself losing lives to simple things, not holding the fire button down long enough, or an enemy suddenly appearing and things like that. One touch and you lose a life. You've only got 3. So you will fail. You will fail at this game because you've only got 3 lives. As I said, you lose them all. Progress is lost because it's back to the very beginning. If it is game over, there's no continues or anything. You have to go through all 6 levels in one go, which obviously was the style of the time. But it does get a bit demoralizing, and you're like, oh god, I got through that all again. The levels themselves, though, they're not empty of collectibles. You can find things like picnic baskets, apples, hamburgers, roast chickens, and toffee apples. These give you bonus points as you progress. On some levels as well, you can collect 6 pieces of Yogi's car, 6 bags of money, or 6 cowboy hats. Collect them all, and at the end of the level, you get a 7,500 point bonus. Ooh.
Okay. Ooh la la. Ooh la la, indeed.
If you do make it to the end of the level, you get a fixed bonus of some description. Then there's a bonus based on your time left, and then you get bonuses for collecting items, obviously. However, all this seems kind of moot. There's no high score.
No.
There's no high score record.
Stupid.
So, which renders any scoring part of this game just pointless. Well, to pardon the pun. But why give you points if you're not going to record them? It's just, I don't know. So, as I said, there are 6 levels. So these start with you in Jellystone Park. Then then the next one is called Through the Forest before heading into the Wild West. After that, it's Mumbo Jumbo Marsh. Then the Fun Fair before making it to New York City. I presume that's where he's trying to escape to. I'd have thought he wanted to stay in the wild.
Yeah, it seems a bit odd to go towards the zoo. But
yeah, exactly.
Because that's where it is.
That's why Boo Boo's not following him. Where you going, Yogi? This way. The zoo's that way. Hey, I know what I'm doing, Boo Boo. No.
You don't, Yogi. I'm leaving you.
They're the original R2 and C-3PO, aren't they, I guess?
Yeah, actually, anyway.
I imagine that there's that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
The first 5 levels you go through, they're all very samey. Like I said, it's a simple left-to-right platformer. There's no scrolling vertical in this, it's just flat. You do get new things to negotiate, Travelator-style platforms that sort of pop up from the floor for a short time and sort of move up and down, and you have to sort of jump on them. There's moving platforms that collapse under you, things like that. Basic platform staples are all there, rotating platforms, all this kind of stuff. There are enemies, as I said, like snakes. I think they're squirrels that fall down from the sky. I think they are sort of flying squirrels. Yeah,
I think so.
There's even hunters patrolling some of the platforms, and after level 1, they start sort of firing their guns at you as well, so you have to dodge over that. The platforming, though, can get a bit tricky, but it's always very similar until you get to New York City, when, for no real reason, you're suddenly in a hot air balloon and must navigate your way through the buildings.
How did that
floating.
happen?
I don't know. It's just this weird last level, a completely different mechanic, changes everywhere. I have no idea. I mean, it just happens. And I find it really odd to offer that variety, but hide it right at the end. And very few people will ever see it because they're going to get pissed off with the first 5 levels. So it's like, it's dead weird. They could have incorporated that. Like when you get out of Yellowstone Park, you find a hot air balloon and that's how you travel to the next level.
Yeah, or escape on one.
Yeah, or you could have incorporated it in those sort of ways. So platform, like we did with that tank one, this sort of, you had the top down and had the Operation Wolf bit. Just don't stick it at the end for like shits and giggles. I don't understand it. I don't get it. So with only 3 lives, it's very easy to lose them all. If you put right back at the beginning of level 1, I don't know. It would have been interesting to see this new mechanic, like I said, introduced early in the game. You could have thought, okay, that's quite good. Play on a bit more. I suppose, and that's really it. The visuals, they're fine. They're all right. There's a decent Yogi sprite. The backgrounds themselves, they vary nicely from level to level. The platforms themselves never change. It's kind of this rocks. There's kind of this rocky thing. And there's 2 types. Some you can jump through, some you can't. So you need to sort of figure out, it's obvious which are which, but you'll figure that out quite quickly. So some you can kind of jump through and get on top, and some you'll bang your head on. And when you do, generally tend to bang your head, lead to death because they're annoying. The levels themselves, they're bright and colourful. There's a lot of colour here. They do a good job of trying to capture that sort of cartoony feel of Yogi. It's not terrible. The only thing is, we've said this with loads of games recently, it would have been nice to have some music as you're playing. It's another one that's oddly quiet. It's just no music when in the actual game. I think some music would have helped massively here. That's just the way of these games, isn't it? It's better. There's some nice presentation with little interstitial animations to introduce each level, kind of in a style we saw previously in things like Rick Dangerous, doing like a little sort of cinema sort of a little screen, and they're kind of walking towards the next one, and that's quite nice. Although you die quickly, the game is actually quite quick to restart, so it don't take long because there's nothing saving. There's no high score table sort of thing or a name entry. Just dead, title screen, back in. It's like, oh, okay. It's not bad, this. It's not bad. I mean, as a budget platformer, it's fine. It's weird that it's got that level at the end. It would have been good to see that sort of part put more into the actual game and used more. It ain't going to set your world on fire, but it's a Yogi game and it's probably better than the other one we played. I think if you'd spent £3 on this back in 1990, probably might have entertained you for an afternoon. There's not much more to say about it, really. It's a really simple platformer, basic mechanics, just get to the end, 6 levels, loops back round. It just needed a bit more life. It needed tune and a music and some bits and bobs, and that, like I said, that balloon stuff could have been worked into the escape narrative a little bit stronger, I think. But it's okay. It's, what did it get? 70-odd%, 77. Maybe that's a little bit high, but I'm not going to begrudge it. It's okay. £2-3. It is what it is. What did you think?
Yeah, essentially the same thing. Bit of a dull platformer, actually. The graphics are nice. I mean, it looks like Yogi. And the backgrounds are nice. It's got a Mario quality to it, hasn't it? It's kind of a flatter Mario, so it's Flario, really. It's like between lukewarm water in it. So.
Matt.
It's just, it's a bit Mattio. It's just a bit dull. It looked nice. Graphics are okay. Sound was all right for what it was. Nothing to do with Yogi as far as I'm aware, but...
No.
And the whole thing felt a bit weird. It never really felt like I was escaping anything. I was just kind of getting from A to B, like Mario isn't escaping from anything. So there was no imperative that made you want to escape. And then at the end, I guess you're kind of escaping on a balloon, but not. I don't know. It just felt a little, that part of it got a little bit confused. And I think they just thought, well, we've got these levels, just do that. It's £3. No one, so you get £3 of the levels. But it's some nice production in it, isn't there? It's all right. I thought it looked quite nice as the game. Nice characterization. Just it never get the blend right with these things, do they? And my question really was, okay, the game is what it is. It's playable. It's £3. It got 77%. I agree with all that. It's just a bit devoid of the character that a game like this needs to pull it off. But £3's what you're going to get in it for that.
Yeah, this didn't have to be Yogi, did it? It could have been anybody, anything.
Totally that. I mean, and that's my question is, though, why Yogi then? Because I don't think it was really that popular outside of the US, Yogi Bear. Not massively, and I guess that's why it's £3. But it was never that big a deal, Yogi Bear. I mean, it's not something I rushed home from school to watch as a kid. It was like, oh, Yogi's on. It's just, I never really thought it was that funny. At the end of the day, this is a bear that's loose and it's like attacking people. It needs to be dealt with. It's just stealing people's picnics. It's because it's cute that he calls them a picnic. It's cute that he can speak. That's more of the novelty. He probably should be examined under scientific scrutiny rather than chucking him in a zoo. That's not very nice either. The plot of this thing is not nice, and that's unusual for a game that's a kid's game, really. Yeah. But it's a kid's game without the appeal to the kids, and it's not, I don't know, budget fodder. It's fine, I suppose, for that. Just a bit on the boring side, wasn't it?
Yeah, it needed some life to it. Just bit of music would have helped. Some music would have helped. Yeah, well, that's ain't the first time we're going to be saying that in this episode. No, true. Although we might say it in the opposite direction in a moment. But if you think about the Mario platformers,
It sees that.
Just you're instantly like, oh, this is cool, and you just enjoy it, don't you? So there we go. Yogi's Great Escape. It is exactly what you're going to expect it to be. Let's move on. Still got another game for this part. Whatever it is. Let's move on to that. And Graham, it's time for you to tell us all about Sonic Boom.
Sonic Boom. A Boom Boy. Good old Sonic Boom. Wow. $9.99 this from Activision. Copyright Sega. It scored 52%. It's an old arcade conversion, isn't it? From the old arcade. From the arcade that we know where these games come from. Arcade
Obscura.
Yeah, not the good one. It's not the really good one on the seafront that everyone goes to. It's the one a bit further down. Yeah, it's got a couple of games in there. One of them's the joystick won't go left. That one.
It's a bit sticky.
Yeah, the penny arcades, whatever they call the push penny things. You're never going to win. You're never going to win that.
No, you're not.
No. So Sonic Boom then, or as it's known in Japan, Soniku Boomu. Didn't think outside the box for that one, did they? It's a vertically scrolling shooter developed by Sega and released in the arcades. 1987. This was released. Okay, took a while. I wonder why. Home computer versions were released for the Amiga, the Atari ST, the Amstrad CPC, Commodore 64, and ZX Spectrum, all released in the same year. God, we wish they weren't. In Japan, Game Machine listed Soniku Boomu on their February the 1st, 1988 issue as being the third most successful table arcade unit of the month.
Wow.
And principally because these kind of games always sit about third in the table for these. These and the arcade versions, these top-down shoot-em-ups that we have, the classic shoot-em-ups of this kind, there was so many of them. And what you realize is that the good ones that you remember are good for a reason. And then there's a whole bunch that just kind of exist in the space where Soniku Boomu came from. Not the good arcade, not the good one.
Soniku Boomu.
The one where the stuffed toys look a bit grubby, with the change machine robbing you if you change. That one. That's the one. The air hockey doesn't last very long.
Where the claws only got two prongs on those claw machines. Like, that's not going to pick anything up.
The one machine that's very popular in there is the how hard can you punch? That one. That's the arcade I'm talking about. That one.
Surrounded by boys in tracksuits.
So this is, believe it or not, a multi-disc loading game. Goodness me. Title screen comes up and you will know it has a multiplexer. Let me tell you that. This game features a multiplexer because it's everywhere. It tells you about all the time. Every time it loads anything, multiplexer. It's in this multiplexer. Check out the multiplexer. Wow. All right, I get it. You're multiplexing one sprite, by the way, but you're multiplexing. Okay, fine, whatever. So you get this basic title screen and it says press any key to start. And that's it. I suppose I should give you the credits for this, shouldn't I? So the graphics here are Chris Gill. He did Fire Trap, the graphics for that. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Graphics are also by somebody called John Cassels. He did Implosion and Traz.
Oh, okay.
And a third person was also involved.
Third?
Yeah, Ross Harris, he did Carry Command. I haven't got anybody listed as the developer for this, and I don't know if that's because I've missed it off. So
no, there isn't. There's nobody's down.
And the musician is by Source, apparently. They did the music for Predator, which I didn't remember there was any in Predator. And the music for Carry Command. I don't remember there being any music in Carry Command. So it seems odd that there would be a musician credit, but okay, let's just go with it.
Based on the music for this, maybe it was just removed.
was going to say, because when the music starts in this on the title screen, you will want to cut your ears off. It's horrible. I don't even you can call that music, really. It's a shrill, ear-piercing, horrific thing all the way through. Whole game.
Yeah.
And it's torture. It's so bad. Like I said, you've got these really bad Sonic Boom graphics on the title page as well. It's just brown. It's a brown aeroplane with Sonic Boom written on it. No thought went into that. No thought went into this whole thing. So bad. Anyway, so you press the start button, start key rather, to start the game. And hey presto, we're in yet another top-down shooter. Well, we've been in one of these before, and this one looks alarmingly like another one as well. I'll come back to that in a minute. But so you've got bold, blocky style graphics, I guess. Kind of a style. There's people who like it for this style on Analyst Dilemma. They're like, oh, the style of the graphics is really good. It's kind of quirky. It's like, the word you're looking for is blocky. They're colourful. I'll say that about them. They're colourful. I suppose it makes it so it's cartoonish style, I guess, with the shading that's on it. I don't know. The controls are kind of standard. So up, down, left and right moves your spaceship around. Fire is shoot. Space bar is your special weapon.
Yeah.
And the sort of works in the usual way. Waves of enemies come towards you. You shoot them. Some of those enemies, if you shoot enough of them, will drop a little, upgrade. You click the upgrade and you'll get extra bits. And the upgrades get pretty spectacular. So does the screen flicker that goes with them. But hey-ho, can't have everything.
I thought, hang on a minute, didn't you say they had a multiplexer?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
For the title screen and for the in-between interstitial screens, yeah. For the game, it's not so great. The UI for this is at the bottom of the screen. It's about 3 or 4 characters high. There's 3 sprites for how many lives you've got. There's how many smart bombs you've collected on a little bar, and then there's the score. Very arcade. What they're attempting as the arcade. Now, I look at the arcade. It looks now like it, but it'll. This arcade stars in your eyes. I think this. I mean, what worries me about this before I get stuck into any more of it is that this is actually a lot worse than anything I've seen on any of the shoot 'em up construction kits. So this is not as good as something. It's not. You can tell it's not done with that because it's not as good as something that would be done with that. So make of that what you will. So controls are standard. Graphics play bold but blocky, and things scroll downwards. You scroll up, and eventually the idea of this is that you've got to shoot these various. Now I want to say they're aircraft carriers, but naval vessels, I think is the safest description. There is a blurb that goes with this. It's the shortest game blurb I've ever come across, really. It says, and I quote, and it's just under this, loads of instructions. There's an entire section which is bigger than the gameplay section called loading difficulties. Sure what that tells you about the things that they were expecting, because there's more on the loading difficulties for this than there is for the actual instructions for the game. But it says, fly your aircraft over enemy cities, oceans, deserts, and military installations, avoiding tanks, SAMs, surface-to-air missiles, and aircraft. Shoot them before they shoot you. Collect red parachutes to get extra wings. Friendly aircraft which fly and shoot in formation with you. And to increase the power of your super shots. Collect yellow parachutes to get extra super shots. There you go. That's it. That's it.
That's your lot.
What more do you need? Well, you might need to know about the loading difficulties. I'm not going to go that. The last sentence of it just says, return the game to, and in bright big capital letters, the place of purchase.
Not us, though. We don't want it back.
No, not at all. So that's I mean, and you don't really need instructions for this because it is just a really bog standard rote shoot 'em up of that kind, and not a particularly good one. Now, in terms of, so that's how the game plays. You work your way up, you get to the boss at the end, you shoot that, which is alarmingly easy as well. There's a little health bar that appears when they appear, and I actually took half of the health down before it even fully appeared on the screen, and then by the time it got to me, it was dead. It's not actually that hard a game, this, really, but there are stupid decisions in it that will make you very frustrated with it. First one is that the bullets that fly at you from the enemy ships are almost impossible to see on the background because the background's kind of got jolly, bright sort of colour scheme going on. The backgrounds are characters. The characters are little tiny dots and they get lost in the scenery, so you can't really see them. And the screen flickers horrifically generally on half of the waves anyway that come down. Also, the wave patterns for this generally follow the same thing over and over again. Not much variety in them.
No, there's not.
And there's the odd bugs as well. So I found I could activate smart bombs when I was dead, which was quite interesting. So that seemed weird. So when I got blown up, I could still do my smart bombs, even though my ship hadn't appeared again. And also, mysteriously, at one point when I died and went back to the sort of title screen to put my name in the high scores, my spaceship was just there still, just hanging around. I could fly it around and everything. It wouldn't do anything. It was just kind of there. Okay.
Well, bit of a bonus.
Yeah.
It's a feature, not a bug.
It just hung around after I was dead. It was all right, I suppose. There was a bit of flickering at the top and the bottom as the screen scrolled. The scroll is smoothish, I suppose, and sort of feels a little bit not quite there. It's quite slow as well, but like some of these are. Then one thing that really annoys me, well, two of the things that really annoyed me, really, I suppose, is that you lose all your power-ups when you die, which is, in these kind of games, just an unforgivable thing to do. because in a game like this, you never, if you get so far and then that's it, you die, well, you die. You don't respawn at the beginning of the level each time. You do start where you were, but you'll burn through the 3 lives, really quickly, and you're not going to really have much fun doing it. And the other thing is, and this sounds worse, and when I say it, it sounds worse than it is, the enemies shoot up from the bottom, which is both painful and also, if you're at the bottom of the screen, there's just enemies that shoot up from the bottom of the screen and they'll just hit you and kill you instantly.
Yeah.
And there's no way of avoiding them because you won't know that they're coming and there's no screen space for you to avoid them. So they're just zip, bam, dead. So you can lose 2 or 3 lives just quickly by just being in the wrong place in this game, which is stupid. If you spawn, that shouldn't happen. Or even if you move, the enemies shouldn't appear in a way that means that you don't have a time to even avoid them. You just, you're dead. There's nothing you can do about it. It's a bit stupid, that. So what's the game like then? Well, it's a dreary experience. Ear-shredding music and sounds all the way through this.
You didn't like it?
No, I couldn't stand it. I mean, we've seen so many games of this type over the years of this, and they've all been better than this, and that's even saying something. This is about as average a bad game as you can get. There's no real passion in it. Rote coding, boring enemies in predictable and similar patterns all the time. It looked alarmingly like Scramble Spirits as well. Scramble Spirits was a less colourful version of this, but it plays almost identically. So I suppose to say it's a more colourful version of something as dreary as Scramble Spirits, and that was also a Sega game, wasn't it? Says a lot. But there is alarming similarities in there. I think that the similarities in other games were things like in the arcades, where it was aligned very much to the flying shark type idea, which is obviously a lot better than this. So it's just naff music, naff graphics, colourful, I suppose, and of a style, but it doesn't help this game because the game's got very bad design. Losing your upgrades is a horrible thing. And the upgrades, by the way, the higher up the upgrade tree you go, the worse the sprite for clearing gets. At one point, these giant, 6 things shoot up the screen like in a giant thing, and it's just everything went, I don't think I want to do that anymore. It's weird. It felt like I was going to make the game break. Is it of a style? I suppose they went for kind of blocky cartoon, cutesy kind of cartoon style. It doesn't work. And then the top of this was my final slap, which is this is £10. No one's going to pay £10 for this garbage. This is way better. Go and play insert better game here and do that. Because there's loads of insert better game here of this type. So go and do that. No, I thought this was a really boring game and a ridiculous price. So, nah, not impressed. And multi-load as well. Unforgivable, really. All the loading sequences have got the stupid bloody multiplexer thing. And stop showing me that. I don't care. What do you think, anyway?
He's proud of a multiplexer. That's a rare thing these days. It feels a bit dated, doesn't it, this? Feels a bit dated. I mean, in an age where Shook exists, like it does, you need to make a better attempt at a vertical scrolling shooter than this, I think. I mean, obviously just porting the source material, but it's just boring. I guess it works. It's an approximation of the arcade game. I like your rating. It's a Stars in Their Eyes game. Tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be Sonic Boom. Hey, you look now like it. But off you go. Comes on with that music and you're like, it just feels a bit rote, doesn't it? For full price, no. It wants something that didn't remind me of a Suck game. I don't think it should be reminding me of a Suck game at full price.
Not a good one.
I could have created something like this, and I did.
You did, and it's better.
I made something like this. It's
way better.
Yeah, by the smart bomb the levels, but the gameplay is very one note. Just going up, waves come down. But there's also in the arcade, you've lost the sideways scrolling of the levels because I played the arcade game. I took it on MAME and had a quick go, and so the screen scrolls slightly to the left and right. So there's
like Scramble Spirit did.
Yeah, like Scramble Spirit did. Source, by the way, and Ross Harris worked on that. Also did P47 Thunderbolt.
Say no more.
Yeah, I think Source are actually it's by the music, but according to Moby, Source they're a software house. So I don't know. It says it's got the Commodore 64, Colin Fwidge, Dave Cummins, Terry Morris, or something. I don't know. I think they're a software house, Source, so people work in there, but I don't know. But yeah, they did P47, which I remember you liking really loads.
Oh yeah,
with its upside down mountains. But yeah, so you've lost that from the arcade, the sideways scrolling, and also as well, the arcade has sort of waves working together to keep the action coming. This has one wave comes in and you deal with that, and then another wave comes in, and then another wave comes in. It's like, I guess it gets really boring. And could you shoot the tanks?
Yeah, you can, but it took ages, and they were more smart bomb delivered kills. But yeah, it took ages to kill them. More often, with normal bullets, very rarely, no.
Well, yeah, because I couldn't manage to kill them, but in the arcade game, they just take one shot. just normal enemies. So they've suddenly, made the tanks really hard to kill for some strange reason. I don't know. It's a port that I can't believe anyone wanted. No one anywhere. We were sat there. I remember in your bedroom, like in 1990, going, God, I really wish they'd port Sonic Boom. Didn't happen. No. And I bet it didn't happen in any bedroom anywhere in the world.
No one was asking for Sonic Ubumu.
No, not even the creators. Do you remember that game we made, Sonic Ubumu? Don't port it. No one wanted this. Just stop and then charge a tenner for it. It's better to go play Light Force. Or Fire Trap or Terra Cresta, which this is clearly nicking from. It's the way it builds up the shit, the added bits on. And they're all better than this. It's got music and stuff. And the music in this is
No, I don't want to think about it. As soon as it started, I'm like, what is that? That sound is torturous.
My partner was walking past and I said to her, I went, you're always moaning when you can hear me up here sort of thing. You always think all C64 music sounds horrible. She's like, yeah, because she does. She doesn't like chip tunes. It's like, fair enough. I went, well, listen to this. She came in, I went, put it on. She went, ran away. I was like, that's horrible music.
Yeah, it is. But somebody thought it was cool. Can you imagine some meeting at somebody went, hey, you go, what's the music like? You wait till you hear this. Played, and they were looking at him going, something wrong with you, isn't there? Something really wrong with you. You're check your ears. Yeah, exactly.
Good cause.
So, how did you compose this? Well, I just let pigeons dance on the keyboard, and that's what happens. Okay.
It's amazing what they can do. Very musical feat. Sonic Ubumu.
Yeah,
it's not
Sonic
very good.
Ubumu.
It's not very good. It's really not. No. Let's move. No, that's it. I think that's it for this part, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
Two games, yeah. Let's take a break. Yogi's Great Escape and Sonic Ubumu. What a pairing.
What a pair. What a pair. What a wacky pair.
What a time to be alive. Let's take a break. Let's go away, and then we'll talk about some TV and film for August 1990. We'll see you in a moment. And we're back, and it's August 1990, and seemingly very quiet in TV land. There's not a lot going on.
No, there's not.
No, I think everyone's on holiday. This is what used to happen back then. People used to have holidays. People go off school holidays. No one's really interested in TV at this point.
No.
So, 14th of August, and you can tell why, because BBC One begins a repeat of the 8-part New Zealand action thriller Steel Riders.
Steel Riders.
Why did they do this? Why?
I don't know. I never watched it the first time. I haven't watched it since we talked about it last time, and I still haven't watched it.
No, it's an 8-part children's thriller involving stolen jewels and BMX bike riders.
Yeah, I remember because I think we mentioned it in the Discord, and then some of our listeners were like, "Oh yeah, we remember that. It was really good." And I'm not going to watch it.
No, I'll take your word for it.
So many names, so many people in it. I can't be doing with all that.
Can't be doing with it. 20th of August, the final episode of Miami Vice, Free Fall, is broadcast on BBC One.
Moody.
Yeah, long shots of people in speedboats. I can't.
Yeah,
and you've rightly noted here. I thought this had finished ages ago.
Yeah, the fact that it's gone on this long, maybe they just got lost on those speedboats. They're like, don't know what to do. Where did they go with that? Where did they go with the format for that? I mean, did you actually watch it? Did you watch Miami Vice at all?
I think I watched it when it first came out from time to time, but it was never one I went back to very much.
No, I never got into it. I mean, I had a couple of mates that did, but they never mentioned this episode, so I'm guessing they tuned out by this. Did anyone notice that it ended?
No. Don't think Don Johnson turned up for work the next day. Even he hadn't noticed.
Well, he just turns up in a speedboat wherever he goes, which is awkward on the road.
Yeah, because he did that game, didn't he, with speedboats the other week?
He did, yeah.
Heatwave.
Yeah, Heatwave, where he mentioned his speedboat. Did I mention my speedboat? Yeah, no.
Yes, Don. Yes, Don.
You did mention it. Thanks, really did. What was it? Twin engine? What? Oh, wow, yeah, amazing.
Well done. You're using it in your last episode of Freefall, your last episode of Miami Vice.
Yeah, great, yeah.
In there, yeah.
Do you do me a favour? Go and buy some socks.
Roll them damn sleeves down.
Your espadrilles
It's not 1985. You haven't taken them off for 5 years. His skin has grown over them.
So gross. He doesn't wear them. It's just his feet have just assumed the shape.
You've got feet like an alligator.
That's so gross. Yeah. That's horrific. No wonder I didn't watch it. No.
Yeah. Tubbs wasn't happy.
He wasn't. No.
He wasn't. 25th of August is the first series of Stars in Their Eyes.
Yeah, there it is.
On ITV. It's won by Maxine Barry performing as Shirley Bassey.
Yes, she did, yeah. I found a couple of clips of that, actually. I wouldn't say she was exactly... I mean, she's similar enough, I suppose, but there are some slight issues with the way portrayal of Shirley Bassey. I'm not going to specify what they are. Go and watch the videos yourselves and see if you can spot the difference, as it were.
I couldn't spot any difference.
Absolutely seamless transition.
It is.
She sounded a bit like her, I suppose, but okay. Tough act to follow, especially singing Goldfinger as well.
Yeah. Did you think the bit... Who was it? It's Leslie...
I was thinking Leslie Grantham then, but it's not Leslie Grantham.
No,
what was his name?
Leslie Phillips.
Was it Leslie Phillips?
No, what's
Leslie
his name?
Something.
It's Leslie something is the thingy. Because when she comes on, they show a clip of her, don't they? Because she's a TV extra in Coronation Street.
Yeah, which is weird.
She's a black lady, and they show a clip of her walking past in the back, and he goes, "Which one are you?" Like, the ethnic sort of quota in Coronation Street wasn't high. I was like, it all feels a bit odd.
Yeah, exactly, a bit odd. But you know what? She looked out like her originally. Well, she did look a bit like her.
She did a bit,
and she sort of sounds a bit like her. She won it, so she must have sounded way better than the others did. So,
which obviously didn't look out like him.
In the show, is it like the last show? Is it like 7 or 8 people that all do the same? Because I can't remember. Is it so there was like 6 Shirley Basses, and they picked the best Shirley Bassey?
No, I don't think so. No. It's not that. It's not like the one where there's that. I've seen clips of that new one where there's like 3 Tom Joneses.
Yeah, that's what I wondered, because I thought to myself, if that's the case, what's the collective noun for Shirley Bassey? Because at that point you've got them, you have to have a collective noun. Was it a Goldfinger of Shirley Bassey?
That's what I was going to say, a Goldfinger, yeah. Maybe it was, maybe it is.
Therefore, it must be a nutbush of Tina Turners when there's a few Tina Turners in that Simply the Best video from Limmy.
True. A bread of Mick Hucknall's.
No. I bet nobody's ever done him on Stars in Their Eyes because they're like, you look out like him and we can't make you look like him.
I bet they have. I imagine if you looked for a Stars in Their Eyes Mick Hucknall, there's got to be one.
I'm not ever going to YouTube that because I want to know the answer.
No one does. No. There's only a couple of new shows this month, both on Channel 4. The 9th of August was Drop the Dead Donkey.
Satire show, wasn't it? About a newsroom?
Yeah. So it's basically sort of it's political satire, isn't it? So it's the writing political stories for a newspaper, and there's
that's right.
And they're a bit rubbish. Or some of them are recent. Some of them are more sort of Tory based, and some are Labour based. I think
that's right. Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing.
But was it filmed live? Was that the thing? It was like live filmed, I think.
I don't know.
I'm sure there was a quirk about it being like when they filmed it live, so that because they could report on news events happening at the time on the day and things like that.
Oh, quite possibly.
I'm sure there was some quirk about it. I can't remember. I never really watched it. So
it was okay. I thought it was quite funny. It had its moments, some good characters. But I don't think I watched it religiously. I think I caught it if I was just, because it was usually about 10 o'clock on it was either just before or just after Whose Line Is It Anyway, which I tended to watch.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I just never got into it. I watched a couple, but never really my thing.
No,
weirdly, I watched the last ever episode of that, though.
What, Drop the Dead Donkey?
Yeah, for some reason I watched the very last episode. It's a bit of I went through a phase of watching the last episodes of things. So that was one of them.
It's a very dark time in your life. How come then you didn't watch Freefall, the last episode of Miami Vice? What were you doing?
Because I didn't know it was on. Didn't know that had happened.
Well, there's clearly it's not on now, so there must have been the last episode at some point.
But I never watched any of those shows, and I don't know. I just never got to that. I've never really watched it, and I've watched maybe one episode. So
are we talking Miami Vice or Drop the Dead Donkey now?
All of them. I never watched either of those. No, there's a few TV shows that exist around that time that just completely missed me. I just didn't deal with it.
Best not to. 10th of August, there was the launch of The Word.
It was a bit of compulsive watching, wasn't it, really?
The Word was literally, you had no clue what was going to happen.
No, and it was aimed at the teenagers as well. It was firmly aimed at the market it was aiming at. That was unusual for a TV show. It was,
as you're right, it was trash. Utter trash.
It was.
But watchable. So this was Terry Christian hosted it normally with, let's see, Matt Lamar, Katie Puckrick, Danny. I can't remember her name either. It very, very. It was a chat. It was essentially a chat show with bands and stuff, but anarchic. Crazy stuff going on. But they also had like segments in it. It's like I'll do anything to be on TV. Where the one I remember is someone kissing an old woman whose dentures fell out or something. You had to give her a good snog or something. and I'll do anything to be on TV, or lick a large person's armpits, I think was another one. Things like that. So it was that kind of gross out stuff that kind of introduced that kind of entertainment.
Yeah, it did a bit.
But it has become a bit... It had lots of interesting bands on, I'll give it that. Loads of bands on it.
It did. I think it was very early performances from Oasis, I believe, were on there.
Oasis, Nirvana, loads.
L7, famously, she pulled all the clothes off, didn't she, on stage? And there was loads of controversy on the show. I mean, it really did surround it.
Yeah. I think there was the Shaun Ryder. There was some Shaun Ryder incident, I think, weren't there on it?
Yeah, they got banned from TV for a while for that, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, then they got him back on TFI Friday later and did exactly the same thing, if I remember rightly. And now he's on Celebrity Gogglebox.
Yeah, it's, I mean, they got taken off the air, I think, for swearing on the channel, didn't they, for a while? Because it was live.
Yeah. And
they got taken off, and it was taken, I think, a couple of weeks. It was like, right, we're not having it until you sort out. Then this exact same thing happened on TFI Friday.
TFI Friday. Oliver Reed, I think, was drunk on it at one point.
Oh, he was crazy. So, and also that woman off Coronation Street, famously, the one that played...
Oh, Ivy Tilsley.
Ivy Tilsley, yeah. Yeah, is it Ivy Tilsley? Yeah,
I think so.
That character, yeah.
Lynn Perrin, was it?
Yeah, something like that. But she was on it absolutely mortaled as well. And then they changed the people in it, didn't they? So, yeah, it was bad.
Because it was live at 10:30 on a Friday night, so they'd all just been down the pub.
Well, they'd been in the green room necking bottles of vodka, I think.
Whatever they'd been doing all night, and by the time they came on, they were
certain things I remember in it. I remember Terry Christian being a real arsehole generally. Mark Lamar also arsehole generally. Katie Puckrick, was it?
Yeah.
American accent. Danny something or other. And her brother was on it for a while. They were both kind of came over as being a bit stupid. I remember Eurotrash kind of gave birth to that, didn't it?
Yeah.
I remember somebody eating pubes off a cream cracker because they had that thing was, I'll do anything to be on TV.
Yeah.
And someone licked an old person's armpit after being on a running machine or something.
Yeah.
Why? It's not the things you want to remember a TV show for, all of that, is it really?
Nope.
But I also remember, I think it was Shabba Ranks getting shouted at by Mark Lamar because he was being quite abusive and horrible about things on TV. And
it was anarchic chaos. It really was. It was just let loose for an hour. No idea what to expect. But
yeah, it was a bit wild, and that was quite appealing. It was very punk rock TV of the time, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah,
alternative and late night, and anything can happen, and
Yeah. There you go. So that was it. That was the only two new shows that started. Let's do some films. 3rd of August, Graham. Ooh, has it gotten hot in here? Oh, man, because you could have gone to see Wild Orchid.
I can't believe that was even at the cinema. I only know that as being on video.
It's because we lived in Grimsby. It never came to the cinema in Grimsby.
No, but it was well watched in Grimsby. Let me tell you that thing. Bloody hell, that video was popular. We talked about those. There's a whole range of them.
Yes.
That was one of them. There was the Red Shoe Diaries, and there's a whole bunch of whatever you want to call that genre.
Yeah, anything with Sherilyn Fenn.
Yeah, I don't know who was in that one, but does it matter?
No.
At some point, you know what's going to happen.
Yes, there's going to be some Vaseline on the lens.
Yeah, Vaseline on the lens. The dinner table's going to get defiled, and no one's eating Yorkshire puddings for a while.
No one wants to be reminded of Brown on that.
No.
Also, 3rd of August, The Space Invaders.
I don't remember it. I watched the trailer for it, and it looked awful. I was like, oh, thank God I avoided that.
Yeah. The only thing I noticed of this that was of note was that the young girl from Jurassic Park is in it.
Ah, the one that solves all the computer problems, that one.
Yeah, it's a Unix system.
Oh, yeah. I know this. No Unix system on Earth looks like that. It's a 3D security system for some reason.
Yeah. God,
it's a virtual reality system for some reason, but you're not using VR goggles or... Okay.
Shut mouse.
Yeah, quite down there.
Yeah. If you didn't fancy either of those two, why would you? You could have gone and seen Kill Me Again.
Yeah. Were you a fan of the Kilmers? Because the Kilmers are in this, aren't they?
It is the Kilmers, yeah. Yeah, Kilmer and Wally Kilmer. I don't know. I think I've watched this. It's neo-noir in it. It's sort of early 90s neo-noir stuff.
Mild fascination with the Kilmers for a while, wasn't there, after, what's it called, where they both met? In one
Willow.
Willow, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a young detective becomes involved with a beautiful woman on the run from the mob and a psychopath boyfriend played by Michael Madsen.
Yeah, and he's good in it.
It's perfectly fine if you like this kind of early 90s neo-noir stuff. It's perfectly fine. It's all right. Is what it is. 10th of August, though. Days of Thunder.
This film's so stupid.
You know more about this than me, so off you go.
Well, this was literally about nothing. It's a film about nothing.
Yeah.
Because it's got, is it Cole Trickle? The guy he plays, Tom Cruise plays Cole Trickle. Oh, goodness me. But it was part of an infamous film deal. Don Simpson, famous movie producer, Don Simpson, and Jerry Bruckheimer had scored a $300 million film deal with Paramount for, I think, 5 films.
Yeah.
Now, this was one of those films, and they got the money and just blew it all on partying. And Hollywood partying, you can insert the things that were happening legitimately. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but famously, that's where the money went. And then they remembered they had like films to make. I'm not even sure they made all the films for Paramount. This film absolutely bombed at the box office. It didn't do very well. Certainly not as well as Paramount was hoping it would make, because I think they gave them the 300 million off the back of Top Gun.
Yes.
Or Top Gun was maybe one of them.
Because they got the team together again, didn't they, for this? It's the same team.
Yeah.
Cruise, Scott.
He got millions. I think he got millions for it, didn't he, as well? It was crazy. They'd been given basically almost a blank check from the movie company and said, right, make some great movies like that then. And then what they did is blow all the money and then go, right, here's the film. And apparently, and this is in the Don Simpson autobiography, that they didn't have an ending for Days of Thunder and they didn't notice they hadn't filmed it.
Yeah.
So when it went to the test screenings, the audience were like, how does it end? Because it hasn't got an ending. So they had to go back and do a really expensive reshoot at the end, which explains why half the actors are different and all the accents are different. Remember that Don Simpson's even in this film briefly because they hadn't made an ending to the film. And then the ending actually doesn't make any sense when you see it, which is why. Terrible thing. The film's awful. It's so stupid. And it's so many filters on that lens. It's a wonder that it's not gone black and white with the amount of colour separation there is.
Yeah, it massively ran over budget. It hugely overran. They were making it up on the spot, weren't they? They were just cutting stuff out of the script and redoing stuff. They were all arguing about how to shoot stuff, and then at the end, only after shooting, filmmakers discovered they'd neglected to film Cole Trickle's car crossing the finish line. They just forgot. How's this race end? Don't know. Just imagine
Does he win?
Yeah, don't know. And Tom Cruise, $9 million of the film's budget plus gross percentage he got. It's just crazy. They had post-production had to be completed in 5 weeks because it went so far over time. 5
weeks.
Get this. In Daytona, Simpson and Bruckheimer spent $400,000 to have a vacant storefront in their hotel converted into their private gym with a large neon sign reading Days of Thunder. Simpson also kept a closet full of Donna Karan dresses to offer the attractive women his assistants found on the beach and held private parties with tone lock.
Oh, God.
The town also played a role in the film's increasing cost by scrapping more barn scenes when he didn't like either of the two barns that had been built to his specifications. I don't like these barns. Who ordered them? You did. Get rid of them. They're rubbish.
Bah, call that a barn?
They got David Coverdale in to sing the main song, which then got overtaken because Maria McKee's Show Me Heaven became the main tune of it. Like, just ridiculous. This whole film is nuts. And it's about nothing, like you said. It's just, but there's, I was sort of reading about it, about the critical response and supposedly how afterwards it was seen as quite an important film because it was the film that killed the excess of the 80s.
Yes, yeah, it did. It was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
Famously, the death of the what became that high concept crazy.
Yeah.
Because they realised that actually you can't put that much money in and the money doesn't come out. And it can go badly wrong. Because
they likened it to Heaven's Gate, which was
that's right.
Came out in 1980 and was a huge production, and Michael Cimino won it and made flop.
Absolutely.
One of the biggest flops
of all time. Yeah. And then it saw the Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson. That was the end of their friendship.
Yeah.
After that. Yeah. They were done. They were done after that.
Yeah. Films it was a bit more like, no, you can't do this again.
No. And then Don Simpson died of just excess stuff.
we can't fit it all on the death certificate.
No, it's just his lifestyle eventually caught up with him and it just wiped him out. You know, the guy was addicted to all sorts of prescription medicines and all sorts of stuff. It all went wrong.
Yeah. But crazy film.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's that you need that apotheosis, you need that bang at the end for everyone to go, yeah, we can't. It's
funny to watch.
Can't do it.
It's so funny to watch.
It makes no sense.
No, it's not about anything.
No, because it's Cruise and Kidman, isn't it? It's Nicole Kidman. Yeah, is it where they met?
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Because of course they had $9 million to spend, and they were just shooting a little bit in the day, and then the rest of the day was partying and drinking and swimming by the pool.
Yeah, sounds all right. If you can
absolutely, yeah.
Sounds all right. If you did fancy that crazy excess, you could have gone and seen Where the Heart Is.
Yeah, you could have with Uma Thurman in it, but you probably wouldn't have.
No. 17th of August, if you waited a week, you could have seen Die Hard 2.
It's an odd film, Die Hard 2. Yeah. It's a hard film to like, actually.
It's Rennie Harlan, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very dark, bleak film, actually.
Yeah, it is at odds with the first one. The first one obviously has violence and stuff in it, but it's violence against terrorists mostly all the time, apart from hands, booby, I'm him. And the businessman who gets shot through the head, I can't remember his name now. But this has weird stuff in it, and it's quite violently gory as well in places. And
it was heavily censored in the UK when it first came out, and the video even more so.
Did he stab someone in the eye with an icicle or something? Or?
Yeah, he stabbed someone in the eye with an icicle. There was someone gets their throat cut in the back of a van, which is quite brutal. There's quite a lot of stuff like that in it. Stabbings and shootings and brutal murders. And then, of course, you've got, the darkly unpleasant tone is because they crash a passenger jet in the film, which is just not very nice to watch.
No.
And it hadn't really been done really at that point either, although it wasn't that far off there being a fairly big serious crash at a certain point. So it just feels, tonally feels really unpleasant to watch. And that's particularly that scene because it's very matter of fact. They're all British as well. So as a Brit watching it, so he's watching, I think, a British Airways flight. She goes, "Don't worry, love, we'll get you there." The next minute, now, boom, that's it. And it's pretty bleak. And you've got, basically, when you're tampering with passenger jets and the flights and things, you run a bit of a sticky tone, and then it goes all quasi-military. And it just, the tone of this one goes really off. It's less off-duty cop and more superhero in this. Fighting against, quasi-military militia groups that have, and it's just a bit odd. And even the way that the police are involved in it is odd because even the police obviously turn out to be part of the paramilitary organization that are trying to smuggle a guy back out of the country or to get somebody out of the country. I can't remember the full plot of it now, but it's a lot less about John McClane being somebody in the wrong place at the wrong time, although there is a little bit of that. It's a lot more about, it's like a dark, semi-political thriller with a policeman involved who periodically cracks one-liners that don't land in this either. It's just, I like it. I like the film a lot. And it's actually quite a bit longer than the first one as well. I like this, and I like all the first three Die Hard movies, but it is tonally out of the three, easily the darkest by miles. It even looks darker when you see it. It's like, permanently in the dark, a lot of it. And snowy, cold.
Yeah. I think I might have gone to the cinema with brown sauce to see this. I think went to the cinema to see
think
this.
It would have been the sort of thing you would have gone to the cinema to see. I can't imagine you wouldn't have. I'm pretty sure
I didn't. I think I went with brown sauce to see it because he's a big Die Hard fan as well.
Yeah, I hope you didn't reach into his popcorn bucket, for goodness sake. You know what he does in there.
No, I didn't. It was very buttery.
He puts it all in the bottom, remember?
Yeah, not for why you think, though. But yeah, so, and I remember enjoying it at the time, but it is heavily cut and you can tell. But on revisit, it is a weird one. It is very dark, and it's like you said, it tries to do like the ejector seat sequence. And things like that. Whereas in the first one, he's like broken. By the end of it, he's like broken and bleeding and all, beat up and everything like that. In this one, he just kind of shrugs it off a little bit. And if I seem to remember, I don't know. It's like I said, it's not John McTiernan, is it? Did he do the first one?
He did the first one, yeah. It's Rennie Harlin, isn't it? You're right.
Yeah, it's Rennie Harlin in this. And I think McTiernan came back for the third one, didn't he?
Yeah, he might have, actually.
I think he came back for the third one. The third one obviously carries on the story from the first one, doesn't it? Yeah. Although the ending...
Well, they refilmed the entire ending, don't they?
Yeah, which is ridiculous and stupid. But the actual tonally, the third one feels more in keeping with the first. This feels... It pushes that... who thought it could happen to the same guy again in the same Christmas and blah blah blah, and it just so happens his wife's on the plane, and it's like
just a bit like too perfect stormy for me, and just a bit, and it is quite a long film. It's about half an hour longer than the average action movie at that time, so it's quite long as well, which is unusual. And you feel it when you're watching it. There's certain scenes that feel a bit dragged out.
24th of August, there was Wild at Heart. This is the David Lynch one, isn't it?
It certainly is, yes. It is,
This is the Nick Cage.
It is, yeah, and Willem
Dafoe.
William Dafoe, yeah. With bad teeth, really bad teeth.
Yeah. This is the one where he gets his head blown off with a shotgun and bounces down the stairs. Yes, it is, just to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, and it's got like the crazy death metal music comes in when he's killing that guy on the stairs, bangs his head on the stairs, and he plays that kind of death metal music. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
I haven't watched this in ages. I haven't. I don't know.
I've been rewatching a lot of the old David Lynch movies. This is better than I remembered it, but that wouldn't be hard because I actually hated all of his movies up to a point. But I've rewatched a lot of them, and I'm trying to reappraise them a bit. And I found some of them better than others, obviously, and some are some are simply more approachable than others. This is not as approachable as Blue Velvet, although that has its moments. And it's certainly not, but it's way more approachable than things like Eraserhead and stuff like that, and certainly more than some of the weird ones later on, although they get really wild. But it's quite good. It's a bit weird in places, obviously, but you take that into account. And this one is a little bit more confusing as well because it has some really tangent-y stuff in it, which he's kind of famous for. And I think underneath it all, this is kind of a retelling of like a Little Red Riding Hood type. Not that necessarily that story, but he does that kind of idea. I think this one's the Wizard of Oz, isn't it? I think essentially.
I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
But either way, it's a good film. It's certainly strange and violent when it needs to be, but it's got that kind of incoherency that sort of comes into his films more and more and more. And then as you get towards the ones towards the end, when you've got literally people morphing into different people in prison cells and things, it gets really weird then.
Yeah. Is this the one? Am I thinking of this right sort of thing where he sees Elvis?
I want to say yes. It's been a while since I watched this one.
Nick Cage is like, he gets visited by the ghost of Elvis.
Yes, yeah.
Is this that one? Yeah. Came back to me, but I was like, I can give or take.
Nick Cage is good in it.
Yeah, he was very good at most things around this time, wasn't he? So this was his sort of good period. Is it Ellen Barkin as well? I don't know. Is Ellen Barkin in this?
I think so. I want to agree with you, but without looking, I can't remember.
I'll always have, because it's not long after this that he does obviously Twin Peaks, which was which is for me peak Lynch, I guess.
Yeah,
favorite thing he did.
There.
Yeah, 31st of August. You could have gone and seen House Party.
I never got into those films. Not my cup of tea. Young people. It's just it's a film of a film of a genre, isn't it? It's sort of not my cup of tea. I think Gary liked it though. I seem to remember.
Probably. If you didn't fancy that, you could have seen White Hunter, Black Heart.
Yeah. You ever watched that?
I think I have seen this. Yeah. I mean, it's because it's based on John Huston. It's Clint Eastwood, isn't it? He's a director who goes to Africa to make a film or something or other, and it's based and also hunt. Is it hunting an elephant or something? Or is hunting something? Yeah, I don't know. But it's based on a story about John Huston, I think, as a director. So I don't know. It's been ages since I've watched this. The thing is with Clint Eastwood films is they all, a bit like his face, they all kind of merge into one after a while.
It is a classic Eastwood. I mean, he directed that one, I think, didn't he? He's a director.
He did, yeah. And I'm not knocking it. I'm sure if I went back to it, I'd probably enjoy it and watch it again and enjoy it. But I find his films a bit hard to watch.
And he's Mr. Single Expression, isn't he? He's one expression all the way through the film. Just kind of looks semi-pissed off all the time.
Yeah, probably.
Leatherface. He's made of leather, isn't he? Anyway, it's just complete leather at this point.
If you didn't fancy that, you could have seen The Guardian.
Yeah, I remember this. For all probably the wrong reasons, but I do remember it. I remember it because it was William Friedkin. I seem to remember we got a pirate copy of this pretty early on and watched it, I think, around at Gary's place.
Yeah.
And I remember us all, squinting because you had to back then to watch a pirate because it was, squint-o-vision. Because it was probably a 7th generation copy of a copy. But it was also, I remember it being all right, but I vaguely remember it had Jenny Seagrove in it. And that was the reason why Gary liked it. And she's sacrificing. Yeah. You put there, is this the one where she sends you to a tree? She's sacrificing kids to a tree, essentially. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's famous. She's floating through the woods and all of that.
Yeah. And is she a nanny or something?
Yeah, she's the nanny to the kids, yeah.
Yeah, it's got Carrie Lowell in it as well, isn't it? And
it has.
She's from Living Daylight. License to Kill, Living Daylight, it's one of them. She's in one of them. Yeah, she's in one of them. I remember this. I remember the bit she's talking about. It's just one of those sort of 1990 sort of... It's weird how like horror films around this time were a bit anemic. They're not particular. There wasn't a lot of horror going on. Or either that or I think they were getting heavily censored when they hit these shores. So
a little bit of that.
Was this before or after Hand That Rocks the Cradle?
That's a good question. I don't know, actually. It was also because it's William Friedkin, and of course everyone remembers him for The Exorcist.
Yeah. French Connection, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I think people were like expecting, it's as good as The Exorcist from the maker of The Exorcist. And it's like it wasn't really that good.
No, it's a bit of a sort of box standard sort of studio movie. Maybe if you compare these sort of films, to give you a sense of the direction it goes, if this was nowadays, the equivalent film like this would be that Witches one, where the first scene is someone kidnapping a baby and smushing it. So that's the equivalent of it. It is the Witches, I think, or the Witch or something like that. Yeah.
Were they all talking like sort of double, oldie worldy speak? And there's the witchy goat talks to the girl in the thing and all that.
Oh yeah, so. The witch, the one with the where they're all basically hallucinating on gone off corn.
Yeah, exactly that. But what I mean is, in the 90s, you got the kind of version of that would be The Guardian, where it's like floating through the woods and, ooh, spooky, spooky.
Yeah.
They go way more, no, in the modern times, it's more visceral. It's like, nah, just hit it with a log and smash it to pieces, that'll do.
Yeah. Or as we saw in, have you been watching House of the Dragon?
Yeah. That's,
the end of episode 1 of the new season.
Yeah.
It's like, they did that. Okay.
yeah, that's quite grim, that. And recently as well, there was a moment in the third episode that I was like, I think you can be allowed to show that on TV. So surprise for you people that are watching it, you'll find that if you haven't seen it, you'll see it. Oh, you'll see it.
Or I'll tell you what the other one would be is the end of that. I'm not going to ruin this sort of thing, but you'll know the bit. It's the end of that new film, Immaculate.
Oh yeah.
With Sydney Sweeney. That's that's this version now, isn't it?
Yeah. We take it to more extremes now.
Very much so. Yeah. Speaking of extremes, which this isn't, finally to end the month is Breaking In. Burt Reynolds film.
He's breaking in.
Is he? He's a professional thief, I'd expect so. Ever heard of this?
No, I read that it had Burt Reynolds in it. And
that's why I included it. I was like, I thought I knew most Burt Reynolds films.
Yeah, at this point, it's all bets are off. God knows. It's all getting a bit weird at this point.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't really do much. I mean, I suppose he came back in that Boogie Nights, didn't he? Because he was in that, and that was a bit of his comeback. But then,
yeah, he was in that. He's also in Striptease as well with Demi Moore.
Yeah, I guess he was. But
covered in Vaseline at one point, and a cowboy hat in that.
Imagine his mustache. His mustache would be well sticky.
It is. It's all a bit slurpy. Yeah.
I've gummed up my tash.
It's not the first time he's said that, I think.
No.
And it won't be the last.
Probably. Well, it will be. He's dead. Anyway, there you go.
Did he die? Oh, he's dead. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds died a while back. At least I think he did.
From a gummy tash.
Yeah, not to be confused with a quarter of gummy bears. Gummy tash. I'm going to check, actually. Is he dead? I'm sure he is. Let me just check. Yeah, died in 2018.
Crushed under a giant Haribo.
Yeah, mock ass reach, will you? Having fun with Haribo.
Oh. Why did you make it so heavy?
Gummy.
In the medium of gummy.
Stop now. Right, we're going to stop. We have 3 games still to get through. A crap for charts. Loads to do in the final part of this week's episode. So please do stay with us. And we're back. Plenty to talk about in this part. 3 games, like I said, a crapvert, charts, what's up next month, all kinds of stuff. So let's waste no time. Let's get into that first game. And Graham, well, talking about wasting time, this is Adidas Championship Football.
Okay.
It's another football game. It makes its way to the...
we need another one, but yeah.
Another one. We're inundated with them at this point. It makes its way into the show. This time it's from the 3 powerhouse stripes of Adidas. They're behind it.
Yes, they are.
Adidas Championship Football. It's from Ocean, this, and it gained a whopping 37%.
Ouch.
For its £9.99 price tag. So obviously this is going to be Emlyn Hughes and Micropro Soccer beater. This is going to knock them off their lofty perches, this one, clearly. The developer here is Smart Egg Software. You may remember them. They worked on Time Soldier, but they also worked on 4 Soccer Simulator.
Oh, dear. Imagine
playing 4 Soccer Simulator and go, they're the people we need to make another football game. Why would anyone do that?
So dumb.
The coders here are Dave Spicer, James O'Connor. Spicer, that's a Spicer.
His
and
name
Nick
rings a
Taylor.
bell.
Well, I don't know. Nick Spicer is the only one to have done... Nick Taylor, is the only one to have done anything else. Got any other credits to their name. Dave Spicer and James O'Connor. Can't find anything else on them. But Nick Taylor, mostly for games we've not done. Was he in Duran, Nick Taylor? Was one of the Durans? But Nick Taylor did do First Past the Post and Soccer 7. Can you guess who released those games?
That's that stupid thingy. What they called?
Cult Games.
Cult, that was it. Yeah, Cult Games.
He made 2 games for Cult Games. So,
no.
Oh, this is always a sign of quality here. The visuals here are by Jason Brashill, I don't know how you pronounce that, who again will go into loads of stuff. The music's by Matthew Cannon. He did The Untouchables.
He did.
Operation Thunderbolt and Batman. Anyway. Some of you may want to cast your mind back, just as a start here, just to set the mood, to episode 57 of Zapped to the Past. And that fine game we looked at, Samurai Trilogy. You remember that?
I remember that. Yes.
Because that's the last time we saw a series of options intermittently interrupted by terrible bits of gameplay. Before the serious business of more options could be returned to. It's kind of that's just going to give you a sort of heads up as to what kind of territory we're sort of heading into here. So this game loads a lot. There's a lot of loading. The first bit of loading gets us the Adidas logo, then the name of the game, some music and credits, then the Ocean logo, which takes ages and does loads of spinny graphical things for no reason.
So stupid.
There's loads of fancy effects, but just get on with it. There's nothing much happens here. We get this stuff, and then it goes on to loading, and it actually says loading part 2. Like what?
I know. I'm like, oh no.
What? Okay, well, maybe part 2 is the football. But once part 2 loads, we can choose from playing a single-player game or playing against another human. Now, the options here, there's a couple of nice images, don't get me wrong. Big, well-grown, nice. But you move the arrow between them and it goes across the screen and then back across the screen. It's so slow. And if you select one, it's like they wipe slowly away before we get to pick our country. So that's a slow reveal of a load of flags. There's 24 in total from all around the world. So picking one of them sees them wipe slowly away. And then we get the draw for this year's competition. So this is all weird. The scrolling message announces what's going to happen, before we get sort of 6 tables or 6 empty boxes. Like they're going to be the groups. And they're all waiting to be filled by the 24, 24 teams of 4 teams per box. And so what you get at the bottom is this scrolling list of countries going down. I don't know why they've done it like this, because it takes forever. There's just scrolling countries. And it actually says that you can hold down the fire button to speed it up. Just make it faster.
Yeah,
just
do
make
that.
Just make the default faster. Just make it instant.
So stupid.
It's not hard. I know even the C64 with like 1 megahertz, but a 1 megahertz processor could still pick something from a list of 24.
It could do it way quicker than that.
And then remove it, and then remove it. It could. I'm sure it could. Not this slow, drawn-out nonsense. It's ridiculous. You could do it in BASIC faster. Oh, yeah, so it just takes forever. And so finally, and it says, watch out for your team. Well, yeah, okay, I know. Don't need to be told. And even when it gets to just 1 team left, it's still scrolling through them.
Oh, don't.
It's like, what are you scrolling through? There's only 1 team left. Anyway, all while this is happening both through part 1, part 2, there's some vaguely inoffensive music burbling away. It's just burbling away. It's just burbling in the background. And then we finally get another message saying the draw is complete. Well done. And then we're loading part 3.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. So, I mean, normally in a review, I'd be in the game by now. We'll be talking about the game. No, not here. No. We're part 3. No. Loading part 3. So once part 3 loads, we finally get a list of all the games happening this week. And then the scores for them slowly fill in. So it's dropping down. First week of group games as we're playing through this tournament. Until we get to the exciting moment where we can get to play. So all sorts of stops. You press fire. It slowly wipes them off. Slowly reveals another menu. It's got 4 images here. There's a joystick in the top left. There's a pitch in the top right. There's a cup, sort of a trophy, and a piece of paper in the bottom left. And there's a football boot and a ball in the bottom right. Hovering over each one of these is like what we choose is a spinning whistle. So we flick the spinning whistle from one to the next. Okay, that moves just flicks it on to the next. Finally, that's quite good. And so if we select the joystick, this slowly takes us, it all wipes away and then wipes back in. Slowly takes us to the options menu, where we now control a cursor which we drag around the screen. Stick with an input method. Yeah. Basic UI design. Stick with a sodding input method.
Stupid.
So we drag this around, but we can't really do much here. We can turn the music on or off. We can select the length of the halves from a quarter circle, half a circle, 3/4 of a circle to a full circle. There's no indication what a full circle is to actually work out what a quarter is.
So stupid.
Is it so we're playing 45 minutes? So what's a quarter of 45 minutes? That's quite hard to work out. It's 22 and a half. It's 11 and a quarter minute. It's like,
why?
Just put a time. Put a number, 30 minutes, 10 minutes.
Put 5 minutes, like every other game, yeah.
Yeah, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 50 minutes. No, quarter circle. Quarter of what?
Honestly.
We can also, there's no indication yet, so we can also save and load the game. Okay, so you can do that. And there's also an Adidas logo taking up a huge chunk of the screen, just in case you forgot that this is Adidas.
Yeah, you know that it's sponsored by.
Yeah, if you pick, then you go back, you exit that, slowly wipe back in. You pick the pitch option. This takes us to the tactics menu, where we can select from a series of formations, and they're on the left, and on the right is a pitch, and we can see the changes reflected because it's sort of players in the sort of formation on the right. And we can have 4-4-2, 4-2-4, 5-3-2, or 4-3-3. And we select either these by moving a triangular pointer from option to option. Again, different input method and then pressing fire. It's like, just pick one. Just put a whistle on each page and just flip between them.
Did my head in.
I know it would do. So I was playing this. I went, Graham hates this. This sort of UI typography. You would hate it. I hated it.
So annoying.
The third option, the cup and paper. Well, this allows us to see the current tables, but this is where there's an arrow on the left pointing down. You have to push it up, if I remember rightly, to move the tables up. So it's showing you that there's more down, but you push it up. It's like, then an arrow appears up. Like, I know I can scroll it up and down, thanks. But again, doesn't show anything else here. It's just a list of the tables. So who cares? Finally, the football boot and ball. Well, that instigates loading part 4. Still more loading. Oh, God. It's glacially slow, this section. It's just wiping back and forth. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, loading part 4 happens, and we're finally going to get to the game. Finally.
Yeah.
So when we do, there's a coin slowly appears, and we can choose heads or tails. The coin drops, and although I called heads, was told I won, it just went straight to the game. So I didn't choose anything. The only place where an option I wanted an option. It's like the one place. You've won the toss. Would you like to kick off or go for? No, we're not. Well done. You won the toss. Be very proud of yourself.
You're not having that choice. Yeah.
Okay. But at least we're at the game, and after all that, this better be good. So the game is presented as they all seem to be now. It's straight top down with the pitch represented top to bottom. So the goals are top, the bottom, top and bottom. I think it's Micropro Soccer. It's the Micropro Soccer view that we've come to sort of get used to at the moment. So the pitch is shown taking up the sort of top 2/3 of the screen. The UI is at the bottom. The UI is confusing. It shows a message bar, the name of who you are presently controlling, the number of the player you are controlling. There's 2 bars on the left. One is for strength and one is for shot height. Not that this will make a blind bit of difference to anything you're actually about to try and do. On the right, there's an empty box where every now and again a picture of a haunted referee appears to blow his whistle at you. It's like this weird. It's like,
strange, very strange.
None of which is of any use because the game's awful. All that loading, all those options. I can only hope they just think you turn it off before you got here. So the graphics of the pitch, you've got 2 sort of light and green stripes, vertical stripes, to sort of that kind of sort of look of the football pitch. There's bitty, the bitty sort of bits knocked off them for kind of whatever. The players, they're badly drawn and animated. They're blocky, single sprite characters. They're indistinct, badly animated. They're not hard. But the worst of all is the control or the lack of it. The ball, well, it just bounces off players. It's impossible to gain control of it and run with it. So it's like they tried to cross kickoff with Micropro Soccer, but failed in both ways. They just didn't get either of them. You're never in control of the ball, and trying to control your players and have them get anywhere near the ball is just an exercise in frustration because of the way this kind of scrolls. You think you're running at the ball, but because scrolling goes downwards, you kind of run past it, and then you try and run past it. But then when you do actually get in contact with the ball, all the ball does is sort of just, it sounds like it gets inside you and sort of and at that point, so if you change direction, the ball doesn't. Even if it's right under your control, you have to pass it constantly. So you have to hold down the button, then the bar will go up in the bottom thing, and you can just boot it, hoof it in one direction, hope it goes near someone. It's just awful. The first time I played this, just to add insult to injury, the opposing team booted it off for a goal kick and the game froze. So I had to go through all those menus again, all that waiting, loading. Second time, I just wished I hadn't bothered. There's a big raster glitch at the bottom of the playing window as well. So as the pitch, it jerkily scrolls around. You very quickly realise why all that preamble exists. It's to stop you from getting to the football. This is a bad football game. Controls are rubbish. The opposition are perfect. Trying to control your goalie or even a change player. It says click fire button to change to the player when you're defending who's nearest the ball. Doesn't happen. Does it randomly. No. Then it changes to the goalie, and the goalie will just dive out the way. And then when they'll score, and they inevitably will, so you'll get the goal which pop up, and Trying to kick off is rubbish because it just kicks you and then you're like under you go. This is awful. There's no sense that the formation you chose did anything. People, players randomly wander around the place. It's just terrible. This is awful. I don't know. Just trying to control this, it felt like nailing jelly to a wall. Dreadful. I hated this. One of the worst football games we've seen in a long time. And we've seen some rubbish ones recently, but even that one that was the official Italian 91, which said was pretty rubbish because it wasn't a World Cup game. The football in it wasn't actually that bad when you considered it as an arcade game, and the other one we played was actually all right as well. This 37%, no, far too high for an option simulator with a really, really, really crappy football engine bolted onto the back end of it. This was dreadful. I don't know what I was expecting, but I was expecting more than this, and I thought this was rubbish, just crap. And I like football games, so you put this in front of me, and it's like, no, no, no. What did you think?
An over-elaborate loading title screen made me laugh. It was like really over-elaborate.
It reminded me of the one into the Untouchables.
Yeah, it's like that sort of thing, or just from even Accolade games didn't have ones that were that long.
No.
Music was all right, I suppose. I had a weird flute solo in it, though, which was odd. Why does everything take so much time? It's just slow. It's like, okay, anticipation is it's like, no, don't. It's a football game, and football's kind of a game of immediacy.
Yeah.
So you can't draw it out like this. So, watching those title screen credits, yawn. Watching the draw, yawning, speeding it up, yawn, then loading and loading and loading. 4 parts before you get to a football game. 4 parts of what? Why is it so slow? Why are the choices rubbish? They don't mean anything. They don't even, I mean, what does it matter if you choose 4-4-3? You can't see that many players on the screen anyway. So you've got no idea if they're in formation. What does it matter?
Want Micropro Soccer all in one load and Emily Hughes with all those options and stuff?
Yeah. Why is the coin toss so slow? Why is it a slow motion coin toss? Why is this game so awful? Why is it hard to control, juddery, crappy? It's just a crappy version of Microprose for soccer with no fun. The fun was hemorrhaged out through its slow menu system. It's just rubbish. Utterly stupid. This is just arse of the highest order, and it's not worthy of the Adidas brand.
No, I wear Adidas trainers, and I'm like, I burnt them.
No, this is absolutely shocking. 37%. No, it's no surprise. It's a posh license from Ocean, so it's full price, but that is no decent football game, and you can't hide it under your slow-moving menus because at some point someone's going to want to play football on it, and you can't because it's crap.
It's crap.
Nope.
Dreadful.
Nope.
Dreadful.
Awful thing.
Yeah, dreadful thing. Let's leave that behind and move on to our penultimate game for this month. And Graham, it's over to you to tell us all about Little Puff in Dragonland.
Yeah, Little Puff in Dragonland. La li li. Budget game this, $2.99. It was from Codemasters. And it was designed by Christian Uruquhart and Glenn Benson. It was coded by Keith A. Perkis. Now, we've seen him loads of times. He did Tiger Road and Dragon Spirit. Okay. Yeah. Graphics are by Paul Johnson. He did Dragon Spirit, and the musician is Dave Kelly. Good old Dave Kelly. So what's this all about then? This came out in a few different formats, of course, over time. C64, Spectrum, clearly, and Amiga and Atari ST and blah, 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 the usuals. The instructions here are for the Amiga version because that's the only ones I could find, but they're the same for all versions. And it says, Little Puff's mum has told him not to wander too far from home, but one day he could not resist the temptation to go off and explore the mysterious world that lay beyond Dragonland. After a while, he was hungry, but he was too little and not fierce enough to catch anything. So he ran, huffing and puffing his way back home for dinner, but his way was blocked by a ferocious guard demanding a pass. What could Puff do? He had no pass. This is where you come in. You must help Puff find the 4 parts to the pass, avoiding hazards that confront him at every turn, and guide him safely back home. Okay, so this is clearly aimed at kids. This is clearly aimed at kids, totally. So this is a side-scrolling, flick-screen walk-and-seek game. Spectrum speciality, one might say. Title screen will appear, and it's a bit Homer's webpage in high res for me, with really twee, annoying music, but not terrible, not as bad as the other game, but not great. Very Spectrum-esque, and it's total Spectrum vibes all the way through. Text in the middle tells you that the code was by Pac-Man. I don't believe it was. He has no arms, even if he is a very hungry fellow. Rest of the credits are the same. And then the rest of the page is festooned with game art. So there's a pine tree in the corner, a hut, your dragon sprites. It's not very creative. And then there's a press space at the bottom to start the game. And so you will do that.
You will.
And then that's where the music stops. So any music that you wanted from there, and you probably wanted that to continue anyway, but this is another game with an absence of music in it where it really needs it badly. So what you have in this game is pleasant enough, I suppose, spectrum-looking graphics of the high-res type. There's a mountainscape at the top, and then there's the game area. It principally takes up the upper 3/4 of the screen. There's a UI of sorts at the bottom, and it just has text at the start. But as you pick objects up, it starts to fill up a bit with the objects that you get. Although, weirdly, some of the objects you pick up don't appear in there, which you think they would. But anyway, it doesn't matter, I suppose. The idea of this game is then to wander around, find the 4 thingamajigs, and that's it. Not a very exciting premise for a game at all. And there's a reason for that, because it's not a very exciting game.
No.
So you'll control Puff with the joystick. Left and right is walk left and right. Up is jump. And the diagonal is jump diagonally. And fire is when you pick up the jar of whatever the hell it is. Fire juice, petrol, whatever it is. You can then breathe fire. And then this game involves walking left and right, picking objects up, and solving mini puzzles, of which they are stupid and boring. So one of the first puzzles, for example, is that you have to breathe fire on a log. That ain't very exciting. A lot of the game is just walking around in complete silence, backwards and forwards, walk to the right, pick up a bunch of grapes, stand on a platform that does literally nothing, move to the left, burn a log, jump over and pick up an envelope, avoid an egg. I'm making this game sound well more exciting than it actually is, I think. Well, I mean, as much as it sounds daft, that is this game. I'm not making it up. All this is done by it's that high-res detail that we've seen in a few of these games, and that it doesn't look in of itself bad, but it's just very, very empty, this game. There's nothing in it. There's no enemies to speak of, at least none in this part of it. And
the egg killed me. Yeah,
well, exactly. And then I'll come back to the stupidity of a couple of the decisions I've made about this. But the game is that. Walk around, pick up objects, find stuff, and that's it. Now, you've only got 1 life in this game, which is stupid.
Yes, very
really stupid. So when you do get hit by the egg, and you will, that's game over. And then it's back to the start again, and then you've got to walk all the way to the right, go and pick up the bottle to breathe fire, pick up the grapes, come back to go breathe on the log to avoid the egg. So that's quite, when you realise that's happening, you're like, oh no, not again. Yeah. And then you've got to fall down a hole. If you happen to fall down the hole at the wrong position, you die.
From the wrong side,
start. Yeah, so you do it for the wrong side, you're dead. So it's back to the beginning, go and pick up the grapes, go and get your fire-breathing thing, burn the log, avoid the egg. And you're like, right, and this game is just that. That sums it up. That is literally devoid of any atmosphere, because there's no sound, there's sound effects in it, specky type sounds, but there's no music. So it's just walking around this boring landscape of nothingness in more or less complete silence, picking up grapes repeatedly, because when you do fall down the right side of the hole, and it says in the instructions somewhere, I seem to remember, you can control your descent with the left and right keys, but I couldn't do that. It just fell straight down like a rock. Yeah. Unless you get some wings, you can fly or something. I don't know. But I didn't get that far into it. After the 5th time of dropping and dying, or the egg hitting me or whatever, I was done. And there's probably quite an extensive map to explore. I imagine it all looks a bit samey. We've seen loads of games of this type, loads and loads and loads. And we're going right back to Turn Our Nog. We've seen these games done this way. It's just another boring walk and seek game with stupid design decisions. Now, 1 life for a game like this is dumb.
And no health.
Either have energy or no health, but you're not under constant attack in this. But there's nothing to attack. There's nothing in it. It's empty. So you just walk around empty space, and you'll die by being hit by an egg. It's just stupid, or it's just really boring. I mean, what kind of game design is it? Like, oh, don't fall the wrong way, otherwise you're dead. It's like, all right, okay, well, once I know that, and that's that puzzle solved.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not going to be scratching your head thinking, how do I figure this out in this? It's just really dull. It's a dull 1 life snooze fest. I get it. It's budget. All right. But this is boring even by budget standards. The graphics have a Spectrum tonality. Okay, and it's the same speed as the other Spectrum game from last time. So it's the Ollie and Lissa game. It's the same sort of graphic style as that, actually. Same sort of look.
Yeah. Which
doesn't look out of place, but it's just not very interesting. And there's been games that, even the Yogi game, as much as I didn't like it, it was certainly more colourful and more palatable than this, in a similar vein, actually, a way that it was, a different objective. And the characters, again, even if you go right back to thinking, okay, well, then what about the characters? Because you've got to make these games, if you're going to base a game on a character that's going through trauma, the character's got to have character in it. This is the problem we had with a couple of the games recently, is that they don't have a lot of character in the characters. And that's the sound that does that. If you don't have sound in a game, it makes it feel really boring. Now, Spectrum owners might be used to that, but we 64 owners have got a SID chip, and we've had some amazing things come out of that SID chip. So maybe not this episode, but certainly, in the past. So it's a game that's utterly devoid of the atmosphere and the characterization that it needs. And on top of that, you've got 1 life. And on top of that, nothing to do but avoid an egg. Bollocks to that. No, I didn't think of much to it. No. Not for me, that. What about you?
No. Actually, no. In complete contrast to you, Graham, this is exactly just what I was after. A flick screen monochromatic collectathon where you play a squat dragon.
I mean, at least it worked quicker than to get into the Adidas game, I suppose.
that's what, yeah, exactly. I mean, unlike you, let's just talk about the music. I thought the music was awful. I mean, it may have been acceptable in 1984, but it's 1990. We're getting this awful Spectrum-esque noise.
Mercifully, you press the button and it's over because it's off
over,
for the game.
And like that Sonic Boom, which is, you'd think with the name like Sonic Boom, it's going to have some good music, but anyway, let's go back.
No.
This is dreadful as well. What is it with oral crimes this week? I don't know. There's not much to say about this, is there? I mean,
no, literally nothing to it.
No, imagine if you want an easier Mapper's Delight type game. This might tick the box for £3, well, maybe, but it should look better than this. We've seen some really good looking budget fare recently. If this had looked, Blinky's Scary School or whatever it was, that looked really nice. Had some nice sort of C64 style graphics and stuff. Similar kind of premise, but the graphics on that lifted it, and the music and all that kind of stuff. Countless others, no. It's just ported from the Spectrum, job done.
It is. Can you imagine, by the way, the walkthrough for this? Walk right, pick up grapes. Walk right, pick up bottle. Walk left, burn tree. Walk left, avoid egg.
Walk right, drop off left side of hole. But then if you got much further than that, you pick up a gun.
Yeah, it takes a dark twist. I didn't get that further into
I picked up an inner tube and then a gun. It's like, this isn't weird.
That sounds like a Saturday night in for some people. I'm not sure what's going on there.
I don't know what's it's never going to be a winner with me. Rubbish. 47% fair. I also noted as well, looking through the instructions for this on Moby Games, that Codemasters, and they may have been doing it for a while, but it's the first time I've kind of noticed it, they've started to include 0898 numbers for hints and tips in the instructions.
Really? No,
it's a different 0898 number for each game.
Oh, that's low.
Yeah. Can't you go, I need tips for this. Games Master, I need tips for this. Which side of the hole do I drop down in Little Puffin Dragonland?
Games Master, how good am I at snogging?
You've rung the wrong number. You need to ring 0898 224 and put 69 at the end.
No, it'd be on that. It'd be, you've rung the wrong number. Let me just find the number for you. Where is it now? I'll find it in a moment. Don't you worry. Just stay there a minute. I'll be there in a minute.
Bobby, why have you been ringing this number to learn how to kiss properly? Anyway.
I've told you how to avoid that egg.
Absolutely. That game's stupid and easy. Why are you ringing a tips line? Anyway, there was a tips line for this one. It was one of the numbers.
Oh, can you imagine that? Some guy on the end of that phone. Right, just walk left. Right. Avoid the egg.
Pick up the grapes.
Right, go to the right. Pick up the grapes. Walk left. Avoid. I said avoid the egg. Just drop slowly. Don't go it all the way under the egg. Oh, God's sake. Right, walk to the right. The right. Oh.
This call has cost you £18 for this budget game.
The call would cost more than the game in 3 minutes.
Yeah, it would. It literally would. Dreadful practices. Anyway.
Oh dear.
Rubbish. It's not very good.
No, it's not.
It's really not very good. Let's move on because we've still got one interesting game left for this month. And that game is Daley Thompson's Supertest. Now, we have mentioned this before, I think, when we looked at, what was that last Daley Thompson's Olympic Challenge, was it?
Yeah.
Daley Thompson's Olympic Challenge, which was the third one. It's okay. So this actually came out, well, there's a story here. I'll try and sort of get through this. From the dark depths of what looks maybe 1985, I think. Maybe 1986,
yeah, around there.
Comes a budget release of something that was never looked at in Zapped at the time, so that's why we're looking at it here. Indeed, the only review seemingly listed for this that I can find was in CMVG. They gave this 9 out of 10.
What?
Yeah.
Well, maybe at the time.
Maybe at the time. So it means this must be, surely, an overlooked classic we have here, right? Right. Right. So there's adverts for this around the time. There is an advert in Zapped. You can go. I think it's in the Christmas issue, 1985. This was originally released. It was supposed to be £8, made by Ocean. And it's been re-released on the Hit Squad budget label for £3. Supposedly, this was created by someone called T.R. Sanders, but he's also credited as the musician as well. We'll come to why that's an issue a bit later. Yeah, so this is a really odd thing. So if you've not guessed, this is the missing link in the Daley Thompson trilogy, the dark middle part, where we learn who his father is, and Helm's Deep manages to stand against Saruman or something. So it's another. Yeah, it's another multi-event game featuring 8 stages for you to take on and try and get high scores in. So when the game loads, we get our first blast of it's just deja vu as we think that, well, this looks and sounds awfully familiar.
Just a bit.
Because what we have here is basically the title screen from Hypersports.
It is exactly that.
Which weirdly, and this is where things get strangely out of kilter. This is what happens. Because if you think Hypersports, that came out, was it December 85? Because I think we looked at it in December 85. So if this was actually released at the time, I don't know where or when this was made, sort of thing. So I did some digging. So I went off and I did some digging into this because I thought, well, hang on a minute. These are around at the same time. Yeah. So I tried to find a version of the release. So for this, from 1985-86, and so it was advertised as coming out on the C64 at the time. That I couldn't find no evidence that this ever came out. Okay,
no.
The CMVG review only has images from the Spectrum version on it, so I have a feeling that's what they reviewed. I mean, maybe this was shelved, and maybe elements from Hypersports were added later or something. I don't know. I have no idea the exact lineage or production schedule of this. So it gets a bit weirder because it's very odd in every way. It turned up on adverts for They Sold 1,000,003 in 1986-87.
Okay.
Which was alongside games Fighter Pilot, Kung Fu Master, and Ghostbusters. So I'm clearly thinking it must have existed before this budget release because it was being made for that compilation. On CSDB, the first dated cracks for the game are December 1986, which seems to tie in with They Sold 1,000,003 release.
Weird.
So it seems that this might have come out on this release about a year after Hypersports. Oddly, the Spectrum and Amstrad versions of They Sold 1,000,003 have Rambo First Blood Part 2 instead of this on it, which makes more sense because how can a game that didn't come out on the machine be included in a compilation called They Sold 1,000,000? That doesn't make any sense.
No.
So, but it's got more interesting. So I sort of put a call out on X, Twitter, to ask if anybody knew if this was ever released. And I got a couple of people saying, yeah, I seem to remember it being released.
Okay.
But I was like, okay, well, can you find an image? Do you have an image of the C64 release? I could find an image of the Spectrum release, the Amstrad release, even the BBC Micro release, not the C64 version, though. No one could find an image of this. And then Bastix64, he came and said, oh, no, this was never released. So I said, okay. He said, no, it didn't come out. And I went, oh, it came out on the compilation. Was its first release on the compilation and They Sold 1,000,003? And he went, no, because they actually got taken off that for Rambo because he's done a series of them on his videos on his YouTube channel. And he says, no, it was Rambo on that. Not this one. So the weirdness here is that where did these cracks come from in 1986?
Yeah.
Where did it go? What happened?
Where did it go?
Someone cracked it. It got somewhere, but I don't know what happened. There seems to be no record of this coming out on the C64. I could find no image of the C64 for this before this one. And every image I can find of it is the Hit Squad release. So it's a weird one. So anyway, the title screen is Hypersports. It's got complete with the diagonal high scores. It's got those the Hypersports running guys in the top right and bottom left, and this is where I was like, what the hell? It's got the Chariots of Fire music.
Yeah,
it's got the Galway Chariots of Fire music. Our music of 1985 is here, and I was like, what? So who exactly is T.R. Sanders, and why does it have him down as the musician when this is clearly by Galway?
Good question.
So I don't know. It's just dead weird. So you press fire. It takes us not to a star like when you select your name in Hypersports, but it's a different shape, but it's the same process. You sort of scrolling, same thing. You sort of picking your 3 initials or whatever, and you get that. It's very similar to Hypersports. But to be fair, apart from the sound, that's where the kind of similarities, although not quite, but most of the similarities to Hypersports end at this point. So when we get into the events, so we've got 8 events here to get through. Supposedly over the course of 2 days for some reason, although it makes little difference to the game itself. And each one has a title screen before it, which has got the jingle from Hypersports in it, and the running man from Hypersports on it. It's just, what is this? So every game, I'm just going to say now, every sound in this game is from Hypersports, every single one of them. And you can check this yourself. I did this. If you go to Lemon 64 and have 2 tabs open, you can type in Daley Thompson Supertest and Hypersports, and they've got all the sound effects on Lemon 64. Yep. You can just go through them, and it's just, they're all the same, everything. It's pretty shameless. Tunes, like even the all those noises, they're all here. I was like, what the hell is this game? So one of the main differences, though, here is that we get 4 lives. They are represented by the Hypersports running man on the title screen things. So if you fail an event, it's not instant disqualification, which actually is a nice addition to the formula of these games, because normally you fail an event and you're done, aren't you? You're back, you're back at the start, especially in things like Hypersports and stuff, because they come from the arcade. So the events then, let's get to the events. So the first up is pistol shooting. The UI across all of them is pretty much the same. There's 2 boxes at the top. The one on the left has the qualifying points needed. It has your score and then any information that you probably need about the event itself. On the right are the high scores for the event, very hypersports layout and things like that. So this one, pistol shooting, it has the number of bullets left, our current score from the previous attempt. So you get 3 goes to sort of get through. And we've got to get more than 3,000 points. So at the bottom sort of 3/4 of the screen is taken up with the game window. And these are all mostly, well, this one's single screen. And it's not all, so it's not like the skeet shooting and thingy. Basically, we've got a badly drawn figure see the back of a badly drawn figure at the bottom holding a pistol, and there's a crosshair. And there's these like 6 lines sort of above you. So one of those lines will suddenly flip and they're targets. And you've got to move your crosshair to the middle of the target and press fire. Okay. You've only got a certain amount of time before the target closes, and you've only got a number of, I think you've only got 10 targets to get through. The closer you are to the middle, the more points you get. Be warned, though, you can't move the crosshair downwards.
No.
So if you go too high, you can't move it back down. In fact, moving it down moves it up. It's stupid. It's just utterly stupid. Why? Like, Daley Thompson is unfortunately, weirdly sort of unable to move his arm down. He can only move it up. This is just stupid. Very stupid. So that's it. You basically just got to shoot him, get over 3,000, move on to the next one. Next up is cycling. We get the same UI at the top, but just assume that we get the same UI at the top for all of them. So there's a badly drawn cyclist that reminded me of the cyclist in that milk race game. At the bottom, there's some green, supposed to be sort of grass behind him. You're on a sort of grey track, and there's a crowd of sorts in the background. Control here is simply waggle left and right. So we're into a waggle-a-thon now. To get to the end of the track, there's a time limit. It's not that hard. You just waggle. You'll easily break this world record. It's dead simple. So next is the diving. And here we've literally have the sprite from the vault to the vault bit in Hypersports. And this is very similar to the vault bit in Hypersports. Yep. So you bounce him on the diving board. It don't. This thing is there's no animation. He just moves up and down. It's like, oh. Like just the single sprite just standing there. And you have to press fire when he's on the board to get more sort of bounce. And when he finally bounces 3 times, he'll bounce off and you've got to waggle as fast as you can to make him do somersaults, not unlike the vault in Hypersports. And then basically just make sure you're facing downwards to enter into the water. It's a reskin vault, vault. It's just instead of the landing, you just dive into the water this time. Then you get points, and you have to get a number of points to get through again. Next up is the downhill slalom. Same UI at the top, but now we're skiing downhill. We get a chunky skier, some kind of red chunky onesie. It's really weird. We must make our way through the flags to the bottom of the course. Be warned, though, one missed flag is immediate disqualification. Just one. And you'll need to be careful as well, because if you go straight, you go far too fast. Just speed up to like Mach 9, and you'll just miss the next flag, because you've got to be going left and right. So you want to be on the turn all the time. Otherwise, you're never going to get through all the flags. And you can get all the way near to the bottom like I did and miss one. You're like, oh, God's sake. On to day 2, we've got kayaking. We get a bit of UI. We did this on the cycling as well to show our waggle speed, which is just a bar that sort of goes the more faster we waggle. But this is basically just a poor man's Summer Games 2 kayaking with not very well drawn sprites. There's 2 kayakers sort of looking down on them. This kind of split screen. You try to make the way to the end, you're waggling. So you're waggling again, fastest waggle as you can. I don't know why there are suddenly 2 players in this event. The game doesn't offer a multiplayer. So why you're suddenly racing against someone? Why not just against the time like you are in the cycling? I don't understand it. There's a split screen. It's because they've looked at Summer Games 2 and gone, oh, just rip that off. Yeah. Next up, we've got penalties. It's so stupid, this one. You have to waggle your player starts off like at the other end of the pitch, off the screen, because there's the single screen looking down on the goal. There's a goalkeeper in the screen, and there's a ball, and there's another sort of little screen that you'll see your little player run on from. And he's miles away. You have to waggle the joystick to make your player run all the way from miles away to take the penalty. When you do appear on screen, they'll sort of run towards the ball. You then have to press and hold the fire button. But what will happen first is you'll get a little sort of close to the goal, and a black dot will race across it, and that's your aim. Then you have to press and hold the fire button to stop this, and then a number will race up, and that's the angle you got to shoot at. It's virtually impossible to score. I didn't score at all. It's because it moves so fast. You're like, ugh. The goalkeeper's so, will just save everything. Just ridiculous. But yeah, very annoying. Next up is the ski jump. Waggle to make your jumper go faster down the slope, which is stupid because you're not doing anything. It's gravity and, and being smooth slope and stuff. That's what makes you go faster. You don't see people going down ski jumps, running and stuff. You press the fire to jump at the bottom. You press fire again just as you land. to make a safe landing, which I managed once. Normally, the timing on this is ridiculous. It's viewed from multiple windows as well, and none of it looks good. You've got a view from the top, a view from the side, and a view from somewhere else. And none of it works. I didn't like this. Finally, we have the tug of war. For some reason in this, we've got 8 different opponents from Hyper Bill to Gus. You pick one of them, and then you get a sort of side-on view of the tug of war, basically. You just have to waggle to win the tug of war and to qualify, and that's it. That's your lot. And it loops back round to the beginning with harder things. I guess it all works. There's no bugs that I came across. But This is just a terrible mishmash of ideas from other games, most notably Hypersports, Summer Games 2, and probably, depending on when this was made, maybe some World Games in there and Winter Games as well. But it's not in the league of any of those games. Like I said, we've got the cycling, because if you think of the cycling and kayaking from Summer Games 2, that's what they're at. Those two are in here.
Yeah.
But whereas the controls in those, the cycling one was you did it in the circle, didn't you? You kind of got that rhythm in the circle. The kayaking was back, left and right with the, like you were rowing. Here it's just been replaced with mindless waggling. There's no thought to this. The sounds, as I said, they're all from Hypersports. The diving is just the vault repurposed. The original elements have also been done better in things like World Games or Winter Games, like the downhill slalom and the ski jumping, respectively. The pistol shooting we've seen done better as well. I'm pretty sure that was in something, maybe even the biathlon bit in the thingy. And this would have felt somewhat out of date had it come out when it was supposed to, let alone 5 years later. It's a weird game, this. I'm not sure what the genesis of this game was. Obviously, they were planning to make this. It came out, obviously, on other versions. And I have a feeling the C64 wasn't probably the original version of this. It was probably going to be the Spectrum version and probably ported over because the Spectrum version all looks the same. And I reckon, maybe they thought they could just get away with just ripping assets out of Hypersports. Thought better of it when they actually saw it. Went, no, we can't. We can't have this. Maybe someone had a panic attack and legal thing. I don't know. They tried to slip it into a compilation, then seemingly that got pulled. Who knows? It's really weird. I don't get this game. It's so weird. More importantly, though, coming at it even now in 1990, and this got 73%. I don't know how, because none of the events are any good.
No, I don't get it.
It's a poor game, even without the obvious weirdness around it. It's a substandard waggler that would have been rubbish in 85. That had been superseded. Summer Games 2, and this clearly is ripping off Summer Games 2. You see it in the kayaking. There's no thought to this. It's just rubbish, and it's a weird rubbish, which is interesting. It makes it more interesting than this game has any right to be, but it's not very good, and it's certainly not worth 73%.
No, it's not.
There you go. And also, as well, just to add one last thing as well, in most of the events, you're white.
Yeah, that ain't good, is it?
I don't even think this was going to be a Daley Thompson game. I think something weird went on here, and I don't know what it was, but there you go. Daley Thompson's Supertest. Weird. What did you think?
So what is this tomfoolery? I mean, the Genesis is the interesting bit because the game's crap. I mean, really, you stinky crap.
Yep.
My feeling was actually listening to the sort of the research that you've done in there, and I tried to look and find something, and there's nothing. My feeling is that maybe there was a time when this was going to be the Daley Thompson's decathlon game or something like that, or an event game like that. And then they realised that it was crap, and they thought, actually, we can't do that. Or maybe there's something. Why it's Daley Thompson is the question I've got, because this is clearly Hypersports. That opening thing is Hypersports. The music's Hypersports. It's got a white guy running in. Nothing to do with Daley Thompson whatsoever. Nothing. Now I get it in the game that's slightly different, but this is a different game. It starts as a different game. Now there's got to be a reason why that happens. And this game is positioned. All the other versions came out in 1985. All of this, so the Spectrum version, all of the other versions came out in 1985, which makes me think that this must have been around at that time. Why didn't they port it to the C64? I'm thinking because it doesn't look anywhere near as good as the others, but that was never Stopped Ocean before.
No.
This would have been coming out the same year as their Transformers game.
Yeah.
But I think they've sort of looked at this and then looked at the other games that were coming out. Obviously, Daley Thompson's Decathlon, Hypersports. They've got Activision Decathlon as well, somewhere in the midst of all that, which obviously isn't very good. But they've got those, and they've probably looked at this and gone, nah, I don't know. There's something weird about the whole thing anyway. It doesn't help the game because the game's crap. That it's a Daley Thompson game is, I think, an accident. That's just, they branded that to try and sell it, maybe at budget, to try and link it to the others. Maybe, because the only thing I can think of, why are the athletes on the front of this white in the first place? Why is it done the way it's done? I don't know. This is clearly either unfinished, was never meant to be released, or both. Either way, ripping off somebody else's music and ripping off somebody else's sprites and using them in your game and trying to badge it as something that it clearly isn't is terrible. And then to do it at budget, they're just going for cheap, low books here. And to give it 73% in the magazine, they're absolutely on crack. This is just rubbish. And it's just a testament to more poor practice that's going on. And we've not had great games in this episode, but no, I didn't like the game Little Puff the Dragon, whatever it was, but at the same time, at least it was honest about being £3. There's nothing honest about this Daley Thompson game. It's just trying to rip people off, and it is a poor game. And the events, they function, but they're not very interesting, and they're not very exciting, and they're not very good.
Nope.
No, if you're going to do multi-event games, and now surely World Games is out on budget. So why would anyone buy this? Mm-hmm. For the money that you're going to get, World Games is way better, or Summer Games 2. Any of those games are better than this. Mm-hmm. No, This is a terrible thing. So there would be no reason to buy this. There was no reason to release it. I'm not quite sure what was going on, but it was clearly either somebody's joke or somebody had started to put something together, or maybe this was the beginning of the other game, and they basically said, you know what, we'll use that and we'll take it for our game. And it's just, I don't know. There's a weird story in it somewhere. When we go to the Zapped live event in August, I think some guys from Ocean are going to be there. Might be worth asking them about that.
Yeah, it could be.
If they don't tell us what we want to know, we can we'll go and get Rob Hubbard and we'll get him onto him. Nobody messes with him. Nobody messes with Rob Hubbard. Nobody.
That's true. There was a budget re-release of World Games, by the way, back in November '88. Yeah,
I'm to remember. So I remembered us mentioning something. So why would you get this? Because you've got that.
Yeah.
And if that's out, then all the other Epics games are going to be out on budget because they were all before that one. So
Yep. Yeah.
So you'd never buy this, and if you did, you'd be really angry at yourself. So.
Very much so. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Such a weird thing. A weird thing. Daley Thompson Supertest.
It's good when we find these little anomalies. I've thought that's the sort of games that weren't fodder, and it's probably worth reaching out to those guys and asking them about that.
Yeah. But who is this mysterious T.R. Sanders? I've got to wonder whether it's like an Alan Smithy type thing.
It could easily be. I mean, there's definitely a story in there, isn't there? There's without a doubt.
Who did this C64 port?
Yeah, and why was it re-released on budget? Where was the original? And that's the big question.
Yeah,
because all the other versions are out there. You can find Spectrum, Amstrad, all of the others, but there's no C64 version. Yeah. And the question is why? And
you can find an image. You can find an image of they sold 1,000,003 with this box on it.
Yeah, so they've obviously taken it off for a reason.
Yeah.
Because it definitely has Rambo on it. Because I've just checked on it.
Yeah, but there is an image which I found which had this on it. Daley Thompson's 3.
Weird.
So there we go. That's this week. What games did we look at? Well, they weren't a great bunch, but we had Yogi's Great Escape, which was a bit bleak. Sonic Boom, which was a bit bleak. Adidas Championship Football, which was a bit bleak.
And slow.
And slow and bleak. We had Little Puff in Dragonland, which was slow and bleak.
Yeah, it actually describes the plot. There's literally a puff of smoke in Dragonland. That's it.
And then we had Daley Thompson Supertest, which was some weird anomaly from another dimension, I think.
And weak.
And bleak. Bleak House. There we go. Not a great week, but we can only play what's in front of us. We do have a crap vert, Graham.
Oh yeah. What? Why?
This is more.
That's an advert.
Yeah. This is more of a ball vert.
Well, it's what? What's this?
So the thing that annoyed me. There's some game called Betrayal from Rainbird, who are now the masters of strategy. Did you not know?
Oh, right, okay. If they say so.
I'm just going to read the text out from this. Basically, this is all there is. There's some text on a green, sort of marble-esque background.
Green mottled background, yeah.
Yeah, and there's Betrayal at the top in some fancy font.
Yeah, gold and green's a good colour choice. Give them that.
Yeah, it's not bad. It says, your father's been murdered, your peasants are in revolt, and your wife's run off with your best friend. Now, this annoyed me, this next bit, because it says the king's his brother.
Oh, yeah, the apostrophe is in the wrong place. The fools.
I was looking at the apostrophes in the first bit. I was like, oh, yeah, that's all right. The king's his brother. That's stupid. And then it says, quite possibly the best news you've had for some time. Oh, we all want to get rid of our wives, don't we? I hated it. Betrayal from Rainbird. A web of intricate possibilities, but fair play isn't one of them.
Just the typography is bad, but the sentence structure there is even frustrating me.
Yeah,
it says Betrayal, full stop. From Rainbird, full stop. A web of intricate possibilities. Hyphen, that's the wrong dash, actually. It's a dash, but it's not an M dash. But fair play isn't one of them. Why that? Why those things? Well, this is rubbish. You can't put an advert out like that.
They did, and I took a screenshot of it.
The Betrayal logo, that's actually not bad. That's quite nice, that. Could have done with a little hint. Could have done with just a little hint in there of a shadow on it, just a little bit, just to offset it a little bit. Because if you don't do that, you end up with the situation that you get with the rest of the text, which is blurred into the green.
Yeah, red and green's never a good match.
No, but they put a stroke on it. Have you noticed on the text? I mean, it's got a stroke on the top. I'll let it go. All right, I'll let them have that one because it sort of does go with that style of that kind of labyrinth type writing. Okay, I get it. But there's a faint stroke on the right in the text, that's the main text of the advert. It's like red with a faint black 1 pixel stroke on it. Yeah. Never do that, you stupid idiots. And then to put in just random like grammar in there, there's dashes all over the place, the apostrophe is in the wrong place. You fools.
Yep. But Rainbird, then there's that Rainbird logo at the bottom just stuck in there in case for no reason. Masters of Strategy. Did you know
right
that?
Plural for fathers as well? I don't know.
Yeah, because it's your father's been murdered. Your father? Yeah, because it's your father has been murdered.
Yeah, I guess.
So the apostrophe will go there, yeah.
Yeah.
Your peasants are involved, yeah.
But it's
your wife
advert.
Has run off, yeah.
I mean, you can't just put the words Masters of Strategy at the bottom and just make it a boring advert. It's strategy games, it's boring. It's all right, it's okay. Like, it's not. You can't, nothing on a dragon skin imprint is going to work print-wise. Green, that kind of green is the worst colour to try and print at that time in the old colour presses as well. Greens, heavy blacks and things like that didn't print well in the old printing presses in colour. So that's why you've got that weird blend there. I like the Betrayal writing style, I have to say. That's quite nice. The rest of it, though, it looks like an invite to a party when you were a kid and a crap one at that. You'd want to go to that party, not me.
Yeah. Join Tony and Beryl for their wedding, 12:30 at the Crown Royal.
Exactly. There's a party at my house. Will you come? You can have a cup of tea and a bun.
What time will
it's just a crap invite for a party no one wants to go to. Your father's been murdered and the peasants are in revolt. I'm not coming to that party. I'm not coming.
But your wife's run off with your best friend. The king's his brother. Why have you gone all Gollum?
Does it need the from Rainbird in the middle of all that? Betrayal from Rainbird. The Rainbird logo's right there. And it's also really badly cut out.
Yeah.
Bloody rain turd. Rain turd, rain turd.
There you go. Only one this week, but yeah, it's not very good, is it?
No.
Not very good. So, charts. What have we got in the charts, Graham? Well, counting down from number 10. In at number 10 from Virgin is World Cup Soccer.
Oh, gosh.
That was the crap one, wasn't it? That was the point of sort of, yeah.
Has there been a good one?
Virgin Mastertronic. That was that one. Codemasters are in at number 9 with Quattro Sports.
Don't like the sound of that.
Is that 4 Sports or is that sports around an Audi Quattro?
It's a 4 Sports simulator. What sports? I don't know. Any old sport.
Any old sports. Yeah, we're getting compilations now. Up to number 8 is the Thriller Pack from Prism.
Okay.
The budget release of Dragon's Lair is down to up to number 7 from 8.
Okay.
The budget release of Road Blasters is up to number 6 from 12.
Okay.
Yogi's Great Escape is straight in at 5.
Okay.
Paperboy's down from number 1 to 4.
Finally.
Pro Boxing.
Oh, no.
Is it number 3?
That ain't going to be good, is it?
I don't know if we've looked at that or not. I don't know. At number 2, up to number 2 from 5 is Fantasy Dizzy.
We've got to that one, have we?
I don't think so. No, we haven't looked at that one. No, he will be whatever you want him to be. Whatever you want the egg to be, he will be. He's your Fantasy Dizzy.
0898.
Crack my egg.
Spill my yolk.
I'm your Fantasy Dizzy. Straight in at number 1 is Italy 1990. That was the better of the football games from last week.
Yeah, that's not saying much, but it was a little bit, I suppose.
It was the better. Counting down from number 10, at number 11 is Indie Temple of Doom.
No.
IK Plus at number 12. I mean, that's getting on a bit, isn't it? It's good to see it's still in the charts there. Wonder Boy at number 13.
Okay, no, I like that one, but okay.
Followed by Boogie Boy at number 14.
There it is.
Daley Thompson Supertest is at 15.
Hey.
Chase HQ is at 16. Oh, God.
Oh, dear.
Imagine buying that full price. Jack the Nipper 2 at 17.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, it was ages ago. When it's the budget re-release. It's the one with it tries to overturn the society on Jungle Island.
Yeah.
What society? Okay. Down to number 18 is Rockstar. Okay. Ain't My Hamster, I guess, from Codemasters. That one, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Rainbow Islands at number 19 and Robocop at number 20.
Okay.
So there we go. All right. Okay. So what we got coming up next week, Graham? Would you like to know over the next 2 weeks of September 1990? Well, cover game from this month is out next month. That's Time Machine.
Okay.
So we've got that. We've got something called Heat Seeker.
Heat Seeker. Okay.
Omniplay Horse Racing.
Oh, no. No. You know it's the last Omniplay one, isn't it?
You know what that means, don't you?
Options. Would you like horse hooves? Which colour would you like your horse? Dapple?
It's the Wranglers. They're back.
Wrangler. I know, they're back in Tron form.
Something called Killing Machine.
Okay.
I reckon that's going to be. It's a budget title, so that cover will have nothing to do with the.
Yeah.
With the.
I'm guessing side-scrolling shoot 'em up type game, maybe.
Something. Yeah. Shadow Warriors.
Okay.
I'm not sure about that one. Time Scanner. Rad Ramp Racer.
That doesn't sound good.
No. Manchester United.
Just in general.
We're just off to Manchester United, I think. Some. I think it's going to be a football game, isn't it?
Right, I hope so. It doesn't have to be, though, does it?
It doesn't have to be, no. Something called Galaxy Force.
In brackets, the Manchester United version.
Yeah, and then Kickoff 2.
Okay. Kickoff 2.
Not long ago we had Kickoff, was it?
No, they've obviously fixed some of the bugs, made it scroll the right way.
Yeah, hopefully. There were some budget re-releases this week, this month. There was Super Trucks for £2.99. Yeah. Match Day 2 for £2.99.
Slow, but it's probably better than any of the football games we've played recently.
Yeah. Escape from Singe's Castle for £2.99.
That's a bargain for £3, that.
That is a bargain. A Question of Sport for £2.99.
No, it should have been a question of spork. A bit about camping.
Okay. Which food can you not eat with a spork?
All
Soup.
of them.
Soup. What's a spoon? Yeah, it keeps flowing out through the tongs.
It keeps snapping on my jacket potato.
It just flicks up in my eye. I got a tine in my eye. Plastic tine. And finally, Live and Let Die for $2.99. Yeah. That was the speedboat one, wasn't it? That was clearly a Buggy Boy follow up, but
it was. Yeah, it was very little to do with Live and Let Die, other than kind of the boat race bit. 3 training sessions and a mission. It was a really long mission that went on for ages. Hey, way longer than the film.
Yeah, absolutely. No sign of Katanga. Oh, there you go. That's it. That Daley Thompson Supertest, by the way, I was trying to think there was another game that it reminded me of, and that Match Day 2's just reminded me. It was Match Day. Remember Match Day? We looked at it. I don't think we ever looked at it, but the C64 version kind of never appeared. And then when we looked at it, it was dreadful and had sort of those similar kind of sprites, didn't it? Yeah. And it didn't come out till 86.
Something to do with the same guy. In fact, I could look in the Ocean book actually and see if Daley Thompson's Supertest mentioned in that.
Yeah, or the original Match Day. But there you go. Anyway, that's it. That's it for this month. August is done. We are done. If you'd like to support the podcast, then you are more than welcome to do that. You can do that by joining our Patreon. And that Patreon is patreon.com/Zapped to the Past. You can get the episodes early, advert free. You can join in our Discord and chat about things like that. And you can ask us questions for Ask the Podcast episodes, and send in your comments for when we do end of the year roundups and any kind of special episodes we do. So that's all cool. Or you can just join us for £1 and just sort of throw us £1 each month, which is very nice and greatly appreciated.
You could do that.
If you don't want to do that, you can buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/Zapped to the Past. That's very nice as well. We appreciate that. If not, then you can, and this is cool as well, don't cost you anything, but just give us a review or a rating on iTunes or wherever it is, Podcast Addict and things like that. That always helps as well. So anything like that you can do. Yeah. It's all good. If you're liking what you hear, if you're still liking what we're doing, then it's good to get that appreciation.
It's always nice. It's always nice.
Always nice. That's it. We've only got 4 months left this year.
That seems crazy to me, but there you go.
I know. We've whipped through them quite quickly. Game numbers are dropping. Anything you want to add, Graham, onto all that?
No, I think we'll dive into the mysteries of the Daley Thompson stuff we find, and if we do find anything interesting about it, we'll let you know. But other than that, now I'm looking forward to getting out of the game slump, and see if there's anything decent coming out now. Yeah,
who knows? I won't hold your breath. So on that note, don't hold your breath. I have been Adrian Mills.
And I have been Graham Raddings.
And you have been listening to Zapped to the Past. We'll see you again next week. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Zapped to the Past podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of Commodore 64 games, as well as the music, films and TV from around the 1980s, driven, of course, by the issue of Zap 64 magazine published at that time. We will return with a whole new batch of games and stuff to talk about next week. Until then, if you want to listen to or download previous episodes of Zapped to the Past, and why wouldn't you, they can all be found on our website at zappedtothepast.com, as well as being available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Audible, Player FM, and, well, pretty much anywhere where we can upload them. By the way, we do always love to hear from our amazing listeners, so if you'd like to contact us about anything in the podcast or beyond, you can do so by emailing us at zappedtothepast@gmail.com. We're also active on Twitter under @ZappedToThe, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and most social media platforms. Just search for Zapped to the Past and you'll find us. Oh, and if you like the podcast and what we're doing, please do like, share, review, rate us. It really helps. Something, apparently. The Zapped to the Past podcast is written and produced by Adrian Mills and Graham Raddings and recorded at Flaky Bits 2.0 Studio. All opinions expressed are those of the writers, and while we indeed love Zap 64 magazine, the Zapped to the Past podcast is not affiliated with it in any way. Stay safe, see you next time, and remember, we play these games so you don't have to.